Welcome back. Still under caution here at Road Atlanta. Nick Heidfeld leads the way in car number 12. 264 laps are completed, and the pit lane, we believe, is open. Yes, it is for prototype cars only. Next time around, it will be open for the GT cars, and we see most of the leaders coming onto pit lane. We can see the first 3 cars there. I think nose to tail coming in. The 2 P2 leaders, the 01, Anthony Lazzaro, who took over that car at the last round of pit stops from Scott Sharp, and Johnny Kane has done a double stint at the wheel of the car number 552. Nick Heidfeld pulls it into his slot, and here come the other guys as well. So once again, it's level 5 versus Extreme Speed Motorsports in this P2 category. There might only be 4 cars, but tell you what, that is just a great battle going on between those two. And in the level 5 team is Jamie Howe.
I think this will be a pretty quick pit stop for Johnny Kane in that number 552 machine. It was fuel only. There's a little bit of a stall. That's going to cost him because the number 01 did beat him back out of pit lane.
Oh, it's too bad with that stall there. We already saw some great pit work from the level 5 group there, and then that I think they had him out ahead again, but the stall stopped it from being a good move.
We saw a couple of stops ago that there was a change under the during the pit stops. This time though, it will be the 01 car that maintains its advantage over the 552. There goes Nick Heidfeld. He's still.
Well, also took a look at the Rebellion car and the Extreme Speed, the 01 Anthony Lazzaro behind the wheel. Those teams taking fuel on those stops. Everything looked really smooth with the Tequila Patron car. The Rebellion guys still taking a look at the nose on the front of that car, that bodywork that's been coming apart a little bit. They threw another piece of tape on there, so just trying to ensure that that piece does not fall off before the end of this race.
Thank you, Chris Neville. Pits now open for the GT cars. They will be in next time around, and shortly after that we will be able to go back to green. I think we expect quite a few of the GT cars to come onto pit lane, including our race leader. As the order coming into the pits will be the number 62 Ferrari of Malucelli. He will definitely need a pit stop. Number 56 BMW of John Edwards. When was he last in? On lap? No, not long ago, was he? So he's already made his stop. Uwe Altzen, he will need a pit stop in car number 55, I believe. Number 17 car of Wolf Hensler, and then Jordan Taylor in car number 3 in the Corvette. He's actually shown a lap down at the moment. Not quite sure why that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. I didn't see him in that position. Maybe that'll cycle back through. I thought he was still on the lead lap.
Because both the number 3 and the 06 are shown as a lap down on our scoring at the moment, so to wait and see how that pans out. I don't think the GT cars have yet been into the pits. They'll be coming in this time around. Yeah, here we go. Actually, Stefan Johansson also making a pit stop out of sequence there in the car number 8 PC car for Bar 1 Motorsports. In the meantime, it's just Matteo Malucelli in the 62 Ferrari. He is the only one of the leaders in GT that is shown on pit lane. However, in GTC, all of the leaders are in, and Chris Neville is with our GT leader.
And GT leaders are in. Olivier Beretta going to take over for Matteo Malucelli. This car working great. Just checked in with Rick Mayer, the engineer on this team. He said no issues all day. The balance has been fantastic. The only thing they're watching is that right rear corner, that bodywork that's been broken away. He said, you know, the balance just a little bit off aerodynamically. That bumper should be there, and with it not being there, it's creating a little bit more turbulence on that 1/3 of the rear wing. So just not as much stability. But a great stop by this team. Jamie?
Further up pit lane, the number 55 BMW also on pit road. It was full service with a driver change. Uwe Altzen out, Jörg Mueller now behind the wheel of the car. Jörg's one of the drivers who actually competed in the first Petit Le Mans as well 16 years ago. So he was really looking forward to coming into this race as well. The number 56 has not come into pit lane yet, and he is hoping to make up some ground on this particular pit stop. Clean stop though for number 55.
Clean stop for the number 55 car, so that will cycle John Edwards through into the lead of GT. Also the first time that car's been in the lead of the race, actually.
I think so.
Certainly for any extended period of time, perhaps it would be the opportunity here.
It's been in the battle all day long, but yeah, now able to take that point and see what he can do with it.
Very much so. And in GTC, all of the leaders there were into the pits. The I'm not sure order which they came in. As they came across the line, the order was 45, 66, 22, but that would depend upon where the cars are pitted on the pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see till they come around the next time what the order is in GTC. But we have got the 3 leading cars still on a lead lap in GTC, and the number 11 car with John Fogarty at the wheel now of the JDX Racing entry, that is 1 lap down only in 4th place. So they've made up at least a lap over the last hour or two, because that car was at least a couple of laps down before that. 5th place in the cars is car number 27 for Dempsey Racing, Joe Foster at the wheel of that car, another further lap behind John Fogarty, and 1 lap behind that is the number 10 car, Charlie Putman, still driving that car in car number 10.
Yeah, it looks like some good pit work by the TRG crew there to get the 66 out in front of the 45. It also looks like the 45 had fixed that splitter problem they had earlier, and now young Madison Snow, another teammate of mine, and back behind the wheel, probably giving the opportunity for Spencer to finish out the race, Spencer Pompelli, when he gets in for the final pit stop. So I expect a good stint here from Madison, but this is going to be hard fought. I feel like the GTC field, everybody's just kind of been trying to stay cool and play the game and get the the hours behind you in this race, not making any crazy moves or trying to push too hard. I think you're going to see this GTC battle heat up, as it always does, in the waning hours of this race. It'll be hard fought and one to watch.
It certainly will. And Craig Stanton, he is driving the TRG cars. We see the number 56 BMW coming in for a splash of fuel, our leader in GT, as we're ready to go back to green flag racing. But in the GTC category, Craig Stanton leads in the 66 car, Madison Snow in 2nd place, but Jerome Bleckemolen now has clambered back behind the wheel of car number 22. So he undoubtedly has by far the most experience of those 3 drivers, and he's in 3rd place at the moment. That is the championship leader, Jerome Bleckemolen, having taken over from Cooper McNeil.
Yeah, you're going to see him move up through the field very quickly.
Yes.
He's lightning fast, and it takes no prisoners out there on the track, and he's clean too. He's a clean guy to race with. You can share corners with him, but he doesn't share many corners because he normally just blows by you and drives off. So it'll be interesting to see. He's got some ground to pick up as far as track position, but once he gets on the back of the 45 and the 66, I think you'll see him moving forward.
Yeah, so the 56 car, that was on schedule because it made an emergency stop at the beginning of this caution period. That had to come in again under the regulations to do a full service, and that will rejoin at the tail end of the cars on the lead lap in GT, and that will be 4th place. So in GT now, for the restart, it'll be 62, 17, 55, and then the 56 car will be at the tail end of the pack. We're back to green flag racing. Ring, 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 indeed it is. And Nick Heidfeld pulls away once again. In 2nd place there is one of the PC cars, and then the battle for P2 is not far back in the order as well. So we've got Anthony Lazzaro, who leads in P2 in the 01 car from the 552 of Johnny Kane. Marino Franchitti in the 551. They have also made up 1 lap again. They've ebbed and flowed that 551 car. They've had a couple of penalties at stages. They've been 2 laps behind. It's now Marino Franchitti at the wheel of the 551, and that now is showing just 1 lap behind Anthony Lazzaro and Johnny Kane.
Well, Marino wants that lap back. He's going to need to really put a stint in here, and his goal is to get by those 2 cars, and then they hope for a yellow so he can pull back to the back of the pack and then have a shot at this. So you can't count the 551 out for sure, because there's still lots of racing left, but now's a good stint for him to try and to pressure Johnny Kane and Anthony Lazzaro and get position.
Very definitely, and that is also our PC leader coming down into the chicane, being passed by Marino Franchitti, and it is Ozzy Negri who leads in car number 25 in the PC class. 6th place overall, 258 laps completed. Stefan Johansson now remains at the wheel of the car number 8 for Bar 1 Motorsports. I'm sure Kyle Marcelli will take over for the final push to the checkered flag, but what a great run it's been for the number 25. The 8-star Motorsport entry still leads in that class. Here he's on board with Marino Franchitti in the 551, and hustling along. Is he at the back end of the lead lap now, actually?
I think he is.
I think he is.
He's done it. Now he can have the best view in the house here, and you can just see how intense a lap is around here at Road Atlanta. Such a fast circuit, and just such precision needed in driving these prototype cars with the downforce.
Quite a bit of elevation change. You can see also going up into turn 5, you can see the sun there. Shame we didn't stay on board with Marino around the next corner, because it's around turn 6 and into turn 7 where the sun really is blinding. Let's stay on board here with car number 3, it's Jordan Taylor in the Corvette. You can see, look at that. There's a glare on the windscreen, and it'll get even worse than that, won't it, over the next half an hour or so?
It will. As the sun sets lower, then it's right there in your face, and you really find a moment in time where you're just really hoping nothing goes wrong in front of you, because you wouldn't be able to see and avoid anything. And then you regain your sight, obviously, as you turn in for the corner. But they're going to have to, all the drivers are affected by this at this point in time, so everybody's going to have to remain calm in those areas and just be precise, like I said. This is a great battle here in GT. Still, this is the non-stop all day long.
Yeah, it's Wolf Hensler. He cycled back to the lead as a result of those pit stops and the fact that the Ferrari had to come in and make a stop because he had not stopped before that last caution period. So it's Wolf Hensler who leads here in GT in the car number 17. Olivier Beretta in second place in the Ferrari, and on his heels as well is Jörg Müller as well in the BMW. There is the BMW. There's a Corvette in there as well. That is number 4 Corvette, which remains 7 or 8 laps down, 7 laps down to the leaders in GT. So the car that's running in third place behind Sellers and Beretta as they go up into turn 5 now, that yellow Corvette with the black shade band on the windscreen, that is several laps down. That is not in this lead battle, but the 2 cars in front of us very definitely are battling for this lead. 6.5, 6 3/4 hours into this race, and still nothing to choose between these two. And just a second or so back in third place is Jörg Müller in the 55 BMW, and a little bit farther back, having made that pit stop before everybody came back to green, is John Edwards in car number 56 in the second of the BMWs.
It's unfortunate for this number 4 Corvette, because obviously showing that it has the pace. That problem they had earlier in the race, they lost all those laps and not going to be able to contend for the win. But obviously they're right there and able to pressure these guys. And although not for position, Beretta's still got to pay mind to that Corvette back there, which he knows the capabilities of the Corvette as well, since he spent plenty of time in there. So he's got to watch his mirrors, but he also has to try and focus on running down Wolf. It's not an easy job. Yeah,
we saw that pit stop again before the caution period by Jordan Taylor in that number 3 car, and he's off the lead lap now. He's a lap behind the leaders in 5th place in GT, as is Colin Brown, who took over the 06 car, the Porsche as well. So those 2 cars now off the lead lap. We have only 4 cars on the lead lap in GT. 3 of them are pretty much nose to tail, with the Corvette in the middle of them, and the second of the BMWs not far back as well. Got another guest who's joined us here in the booth. He's made a trip over from England, Archie Hamilton, who's done a couple of ALMS races in the past. Archie, you've raced at Le Mans this season. I know you've always expressed an interest in coming back and doing more races in North America.
Yeah, I mean, this is America is where I'm targeting now for my career. I've really loved racing in America. I was racing 3 weeks ago for Multimatic in the Continental Tire Series. I got invited by Larry Holt to come and do that race, and that went really well. And before that, I raced for Muscle Milk in the LMPC car at Laguna last year, and just loved it. And this is where I see myself making a career in motorsport now.
And what is it about the North American scene that you find so appealing?
Well, look at the racing. I mean, we're on lap 273, and you can't even split them in every single class. I mean, Europe has fantastic racing, but it's a little bit more spread out. And I mean, the whole American scene I love, and the people really friendly, welcoming. I've been with the Pickett racing the weekend, and they're so welcoming, and it's been great to drive for them, and hopefully I'll get a chance to return into the series very soon.
Yeah, which class are you targeting? We've got the new Tudor United Sports Car Championship next season. What class are you targeting? Where would you like to see yourself, Archie Hamilton, in 2014?
Well, the good thing is I'm rated a silver driver, which can be very useful, as I see myself as on the pace as the gold drivers. So I see that as useful to teams. So the GTD class looks very appealing, as does the LMPC, and even Daytona Prototype and LMP2. I mean, it's all great series, great classes, and hopefully I'll be in one of them.
Now, your grandfather won at Le Mans, it was 60 years ago. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Good gracious me, how time flies. And you've got a legacy to uphold here with your family. Your father raced as well, and it's interesting to me that you started off your career in the open wheel ranks, but you always had your sights set on sports car racing.
Yeah, I mean, I did Formula Renault in England, and had a lot of success Formula Renault, and then I just decided that my grandfather did Le Mans and was successful, and that's where I really aimed. Even in Formula Renault, I knew I was going to be going to sports cars, and in 2012 I did the International GT Open Series and challenged for the title, and ever since then I've never looked back. And Le Mans 24 Hours, 60 years on from his win, was amazing, and one I'll never forget.
I bet it won't. It was a tremendously exciting race all the way around, but very difficult weather conditions there. We've seen the weather conditions here have been changing around as well. Let's have a look at the GTC category now. We've still got that Craig Stanton in the lead. He's just ahead. We're on board here with the third place BMW in GT, but there is 66 car of Craig Stanton with the youngster Madison Snow hot in his heels, and Andrew Davids is still with us. Andrew, you've been driving these cars, you know what it's all about, but young Madison Snow, just 17 years of age, he won the GT3 Cup Championship very convincingly this year, and amazingly, at only 17, he's been driving Porsches for 4 years, still only 17. Let's go down, though, to the pit lane with Chris Neville.
And I just talked to Kevin Buckler trying to get the situation on the 66. Great race for this team. They've got a lot of speed in that car, and it's going to be Damian Faulkner and Craig Stanton to finish out the race, but they have had one issue. Early on, the 22 did get into the back of the 66, and it bent the exhaust system on that car, so they are getting a little bit of a computer glitch that every once in a while, it sounds like we've got some great passes there, guys, but it sounds like they might have a little bit of a computer glitch with that Porsche that's taking a little bit of top-end power away from it.
Yeah, we have a great battle going on there, and the two GTC cars were split by a P2 car coming down the hill to the chicane, but with great, I think, awareness there from Madison Snow. He gets the move down to the inside, as it's, I presume that's Andy Lally, making a move on the both of these two to get a lap back in the number 27 car. But what a great move that was by by Madison Snow, the youngster there, Andrew Davis. He's so mature, given his young age.
It's really amazing, and he's really at that stage in his career where I feel like every lap he gets better, and that's what he's shown. I ran with him in 3 different races this year in the Rolex Series with Snow Racing and Wright Motorsports, and each race he got better, and he learns, he listens, he's got a great attitude, he's mature beyond his years for sure, and that shows in setting up the 66 car for that pass for the lead, and more importantly, a very hard charging Andy Lally, who's very hard to stop here at Road Atlanta or anywhere else. He didn't fight him in turn 1 and allowed him to take that position because it didn't matter. You don't want to let Lally by because he's going to get a lap back there, but at the same time, that's not really, shouldn't be Madison's concern right now. He needs to now put his head down, get away from the 66, and build a gap for the driver change.
That is exactly right, because the 66 team, Nelson, with the 45 team with which Madison Snow drives, Nelson Canachet Jr. and Spencer Papelli, they are still gunning for this championship, and the team Flying Lizard Motorsports in control of the team's championship at the moment as well, but not by very much. So Madison Snow here, there's a lot of pressure on the youngster. He's got to bring it home for these 2 veteran drivers ahead, that he's sharing the car with. He cannot afford to make any mistakes, and as you say there, Andy Lally, yes, he gets one of his laps back, but he was 2 laps back now, so he's still got 2 more laps to make up before he can challenge these guys for the lead of the class.
That's right. He just needs to hang on to him now, and that's what Madison will do. Madison will be learning right now from Andy, because Andy's going to pull him along here, and obviously Craig's going to stay right there as well, because he's got tremendous talent, and I've raced against him from the very beginning of my career. He's been out there, so again, this GTC field is just really strong. This is going to be a good battle.
Yeah, not many better people to learn from other than Andy Lally. If you can follow in his wheel tracks and see what he does around this track, you're going to learn a lot. Let's go back to the GT class. Here it is, this fantastic battle. It is still Wolf Hensler who leads by not very much from Olivier Beretta in the Ferrari, and then Jörg Müller and John Edwards a little bit farther back in 4th place, but we got the first and second cars nose to tail. Then we have the car that is several laps down in GT, the Corvette, car number 4, that is driven now by Tommy Milner, and right behind Tommy Milner is the BMW of Jörg Müller. And the number 3 Corvette, that is the car that leads the championship coming to this weekend. Jordan Taylor lost a lap in that last round, effectively in that last round of pit stops, in the timing, I believe, of the yellow flag relative to his pit stop and the other contenders around him. So he is a lap off the place. That is the car he will share with Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia. They've got a pretty healthy lead in the championship coming into this weekend. But for the 56 car, for John Edwards there, He just needs to go as fast as he possibly can, because it's Dirk Müller who needs to win this race. He is the guy who's the only driver who can take away the championship from the Corvette pairing, so the number 56 car really does need to win this race. It's win at all costs, pretty much.
Yeah, a lot of pressure there, lots at stake. And I'm not sure what happened to that 3 car back there before that pit stop. They lost some pace, but Jordan Taylor's right back on the same pace as the guys in front there. So it looks like everything's back and running. And again, like you say, maybe not the battle for the lead right now, but the battle for the championship. They got to keep it together.
Yeah, not make any mistakes there, certainly. And if they've got the Corvette team had a handy advantage coming into this weekend. Antonio Garcia and Jan Magnussen, they led in the Drivers' Championship by 24 points coming into here, or sorry, my math is not very good at this stage today. 16 points coming into here. So really, all the Corvette number 3 guys need to do is get a solid 7th place finish or so. That would be enough for them to win the championship. But with still 9 cars, or 10 cars within 7 laps of the leader, one lengthy pit stop, and it can all go horribly wrong.
That's true. That's true. And this coverage is great. It's great to see 3 different manufacturers here, nose to tail, 4 really when you count the BMW, which is just a little bit over a second back. You can really see the strengths and weaknesses of the cars around a track like this, and it's fun to see the drivers adapt to those strengths and weaknesses and try and to take advantage of each other in the spots where one may be stronger and one may be weaker. So this is really neat. This is neat to watch.
It really is a chess game that's playing out there. Go down to Jamie, who can add more on the BMW team.
I've actually been listening to that number 55 radio, and Jay O'Connell, who calls the shots on the number 55 machine, told Jorg, just coast it down the back straightaway, save up those tires. It's going to come back to you. Don't worry. The team also telling me they've actually gone down to the number 4 car and asked if Tommy Milner could help him out a little bit. He said he's not doing it. We can't imagine why.
I guess it's worth a try. If you don't ask, you don't get, Andrew.
I guess so, but I'm surprised that's going to be the last person that's going to help him at this point in time.
That's pretty funny. Thanks, Jamie. Great report down there from the pit lane. And yeah, I can't see the Corvette teams helping out BMW too much at this stage in the game. But the battle continues here. What a battle it is. Amongst this GT battle, GT battle and in GTC, they are the battles of the race so far. But even in the other two, in 2 of the prototype classes, in P2, Anthony Lazaro leads by about 4 seconds over Johnny Kane. That's a 0-1 for Extreme Speed Motorsports, ahead of the 552 of Level 5. And then Marino Franchitti is back on that lead lap as well. He's right at the very tail end of the lead lap in P2, but the 551 car has made up 2 laps, a 2-lap deficit on the leaders in P2, and so very much in contention, particularly I think towards the later stages of this race, with still plenty of time to go. In PC, Oswaldo Negri still leads, and he has an advantage of about 9 seconds in the 25 car over the number 8 of Stefan Johansson. Wolf Hensler here is it's amazing to me how we saw the Falcon Tires Porsche so strong in the first race of the season. We heard the talking down the pit lane. Yeah, the car was super strong at Sebring, but it was also super strong both at Long Beach on the street circuit there and at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca as well. And then they had a big lull in the middle of the season. Now back on strong, Andrew Davis.
Well, a lot of times what I've found with this tire is that it seems to work great in low grip surfaces. So obviously their rain tire is great and really performs well. But also in the street circuits, they seem to have a tire that works well. This track is not a low grip track, so it's really neat to see, a combination here that's giving them a shot to battle and be up front. So I think it's
for position. The 4 behind you is not. They're several laps down.
Just giving some ideas to the Ferrari there, what cars he needs to be battling with, and he's making a move on the 17 right there and takes the lead. So again, what a tight battle, but it is nice to see this Falcon tire car running so strong, and them finding a combination with a tire on a fast, high grip track. And with Wolf and Brian and Nick, as I said before, they've got one of the best driver lineups out there.
Yes, indeed. And just looking at the scoring here, Jordan Taylor, Colin Brown, I think, have just gone a lap down, or is in danger of going a lap down. But in actual fact, Jordan Taylor is still on the lead lap. But he made a pit stop, I guess, as we came back to green, so rejoined, therefore, some way back from the pack. So apologies for the confusion there. The scoring here is kind of difficult to see sometimes, but yeah, Colin Brown is actually still on the lead lap in GT. So we do have 6 cars on the lead lap in GT, We've got the three leaders, pretty much nose to tail with the Corvette in between. We just saw Olivier Beretta take over the lead from Wolf Hensler coming down the back straightaway last time around. Jörg Müller hanging on there in third place. John Edwards, he's about 18 seconds or so behind him in the second of the BMWs, car number 56. And then there's a big gap back and almost a lap down. Actually, Jordan Taylor, he's about 8 seconds ahead of Colin Brown, and Colin Brown, as we can see now, as they're coming down the back straight into the turn 10 and in the turn 10 chicane, Colin Brown is in danger now of going a lap down to the GT leader, Olivier Beretta.
That's right. Just because his pace is just a few tenths off there, he's going to jam up that battle. And again, we're going to be nose to tail with the top five or the top four before we know it. And that's when people start making moves. So right now, Beretta, that was a well-timed move there to get by Hensler, and it's going to be interesting to see if Jörg can get up there and get by the 4 car and then actually put some pressure on Wolf as well.
Yeah, because I think at this stage in the game, you can't count on any full course caution to bring you back into contention. Now you have to start laying your cards out and pretty much going as fast as you can to get yourself back into contention. It's going to be difficult unless there is a caution for the number 3 car to get back into contention for the win of this race, but that's not what they're about this weekend. For the number 3 team, they just need to bring home a good consistent finish. That will be enough to bring that championship to Antonio Garcia and to Jan Magnussen. And the team, they've already wrapped up the team's championship. Corvette Racing has already tied up the manufacturer's championship, so it's all now for those guys down to the driver's title. They would love to add that to their roster as well, get a clean sweep in 2013.
Yeah, that's right. That's really the ultimate show of a dominant season, is being able to sweep all the championships. So that and they've done it before. So Corvette Racing knows how to get that job done. They've got a great product.
Board here with Johnny Kane as he comes past the start-finish line, and coming into turn 1 now, and not too far ahead of him is Anthony Lazzaro, actually very close there. That is Anthony Lazzaro right ahead of us now, actually going into turn 3 here. The right hand, you can see the sun there getting lower and lower in the sky, and the battle in P2 is very much on as Anthony Lazzaro comes up across a couple of slower GTC cars going into turn 5, has to lift off the throttle at just the wrong time, and that is going to give Johnny Kane a run down towards turn 6.
Here he goes. He's got the move. He's going to stick his nose in. Anthony got in there super deep, made a good move on that PC car, and didn't give the 552 any room at all there. I'm surprised that pass didn't happen there.
Yeah, I think that was good heads-up driving from both those two there. Johnny Kane, he knows he's the guest driver. He's not out to do anything stupid. He wants to make sure there's no contact between himself and Extreme Speed Motorsports car. So I think discretion there, the better part of value. He's close up that gap in the last few laps. I think Anthony's had a little bit of bad luck in some of the traffic conditions, and here he goes down out of the inside. He's side by side with one of the GTC cars. Again, he makes that move around the outside. We've seen how difficult that is to pull off.
There's so much debris that goes out, all the clag that we talked about earlier, and the tire bits and pieces and the dirt all gets out there. So that outside move around turn 10B can be very difficult. So he was lucky to make that one stick there, but he's got his head down trying to get away from Johnny Kane. And Johnny Kane, as you said, wants to pass Anthony, but also realizes that it's not really his exact job description right this second. He just needs to stay as close as possible and let that battle sort itself out. Because remember, we're still over a normal sprint race distance left in this race.
Yeah, we are. So that battle is. Actually, the timing of scoring is showing that Johnny Kane went across the start-finish line ahead of Anthony Lazzaro. So maybe he made that move coming down the hill. We didn't see that, I don't think. But there is our race leader, Nick Heidfeld, 284 laps in the books. Now it'll be 285 as he flashes across the line this time. But that battle is very much ongoing in P2 as Nick Heidfeld comes up to put another lap on Chris Dyson. Chris Dyson's actually whittling his lap time down. The last couple, actually 2 personal best laps for Chris Dyson in that car, number 16 car, the Lola Mazda for Dyson Racing. He's running in 5th place overall, a couple of laps behind the P2 leaders, but I don't think he's going to make up that amount of ground. But the car's running well. It's running 2nd place in P1. The Zero car, the Delta Wing, has been retired. Catherine Legg, 209 cars, 9 laps completed by that car. It's shown as retired on our scoring. We haven't seen that car for a long time, but did at least complete 209 laps, which is a lot more than it's done, and he has the longest it's run yet in its short gestation period, just 3 races into the career of that Delta Wing coupe.
Yeah, just showing 4 cars retired currently, which is still a testament to these vehicles and the technology that goes into it for that many cars to still be going along 7 hours into this event on such a physical track. It shows you, and the way that these cars are driven as well, qualifying laps, lap after lap after lap, it tells a lot. And this technology trickles down there onto the street cars as well. So it's neat to see these cars being put to the test and drivers being put to the test and still have the field intact to give us a good battle to the end.
That they are. Archie Hamilton is still with us here. Archie, it's your first time at Road Atlanta?
Yes, it is my first time.
Your impressions?
It's an amazing place. I mean, even for spectators, you can get so close to the circuit. I went outside the awning, and even, you're right there at the action, and even to be here as a guest is great, but it just makes me that little bit more eager to be in this race next year.
Have you been out to the far end of the track there and had a good look around?
Yeah, I've had a good look around and watched at the last corner, and watching them come down that final corner really is amazing, because when you're in the car you really don't feel like you're going that fast, but then when you actually walk over the bridge and then you stand at the final corner, you think, actually, we do go pretty quick in these cars.
Do yourself a favour and head out down the back there and go out to turn 5 and even down 6 and 7. It's a bit of a hike down there, but I tell you what, you won't regret it. It's a great view down there, and now's not a bad time to do it. The sun is on its way down, setting in probably less than half an hour from now. So conditions, we're getting now into that dangerous period, Andrew Davis, where the sun is setting over there in turn 7, and it just begins, for the next 15-20 minutes, it's just going to get more and more difficult.
That's right, and the drivers that are out there now, you're starting to adjust to the differences in the light, but any new pit stops coming up here soon, again, those drivers have a harder time adapting, because as the sun goes down, you start to you realize, okay, now I'm not having the problems now with the sun right in my face, but now darkness is starting to settle in some spots a little bit more, and you're having to rely on the lights a little bit more to help show you the way.
There's that battle between the two P2 leaders, with Johnny Kane is indeed past Anthony Lazzaro. That changed 3 or 4 laps ago. The 01 car's just lost that position, and Chris Neville maybe can tell us why.
But I think we were all excited to see David Brabham back on the entry list working with ESM this week, and he ran with the team back at Sebring, and talking to the engineers, they said, we were just so new with these cars, we really couldn't utilize everything that David Brabham brings to the table, but having him here this weekend, even though he hasn't driven anything from Sebring, these engineers said everything he wanted to do with that car took them a step forward, just kept getting better and better and better, and their race has really been flawless, no issues with that car, and the balance, fantastic.
Thank you, Chris Neville. This is a great battle in P2. We've seen it all season long between Level 5 and Extreme Speed Motorsport, but Johnny Kane, the guest driver for the team this weekend, is doing an absolutely exemplary job. He made that pass on Anthony Lazzaro just a few laps ago, and we'll see now whether he can stretch out that lead. Anthony Lazzaro, he's got a huge number of laps around this base. Andrew Davis, you're a local resident, as is Anthony Lazzaro.
Yeah, that's right, and Anthony's always been one of those guys I've looked up to and tried to, model my racing career off of, because I've watched him race for years and years, and yeah, he's a driver that has more laps around here than me, actually, and I've been driving around here quite a bit. He's doing a great job, and one of those guys too that can just hop in and out of any different type of car. Yeah, such a versatile driver, and that's how I really judge the overall talent, and how I rate a driver is the ability to hop in different types of race cars and go quick. And I've watched Anthony in prototypes, open wheel, GT cars. You put him in anything and he drives it, and he's loving it right now. This kind of stage in his career where he told me years ago he was washed up, and now he's loving it now. So he's got a big smile on his face and really enjoying this time.
He said that. He said, I'm busier now than I have been. He said, I'm just loving it. Of course, running Grand Am and the Ferrari, then here. And I'm dating myself here, but I announced Anthony Lazzaro right here in his first ever car race when he made his first step out of the supercarts, and it was in a Sports 2000 race. He was helping to develop the Shannon chassis, and he came out here and he won that race. Last corner pass back in the day of the dip, around the outside under the bridge, was just sideways and just swung around, made that pass, and I went, I think I'm going to pay attention to this guy.
Yeah, he is a talent for sure, and it's great to see him get this sort of an opportunity at this stage in his career. But I was talking to him yesterday, and as you say, Andrew Davies got a huge amount of laps around this place, but not too many in a prototype. And the last time he drove a prototype around here, we talked about earlier on, was back in 1998 in a 333 SP Ferrari, which was quite a different animal to this P2 HPD that he's driving right now for Extreme Speed Motorsports.
You know what? You talk about guys that have commitment to try and survive. And I mean, racing's not necessarily easy to get into if you don't have a lot of, personal fortune money in the family. And Anthony Lazzaro, when he was, at that point, when he decided I want to make that step and be a pro car racer, he ended up, the year that really opened some people's eyes when he was running in the Atlantic Championship, he had a deal. The only way he could make it happen is he had a deal with a guy who was a club racer. And the guy would go and race the car in club weekends, and then Anthony would pick it up, and he would race it at the pro weekends following the pro tour. The guy who was the club racer was okay. And Anthony said there were a lot of times when he would go pick that car up and it was in parts. He would have to do all the wrenching on it and fix it. And again, he did not have a lot of money, and he quite literally would, as he would traverse the country going to someplace, would stay in public state park campgrounds because it was free. Pitch the tent, work on the car, day, sunlight to sunset, and then grab some sleep in a tent, get up and get it, finally make his way in. And he ended up, he won a race at Milwaukee, and everybody knew the story and saw what he was doing. And I think it was 2 years later he won the Pro Series with the MCI Communications team and got the nod to move up. That, folks, is commitment.
It is commitment, and that's what you don't see too much of that these days.
No.
Anthony Lazzaro is old school.
You bet.
And he whatever it takes to become a racing driver, Anthony Lazzaro has done, and I think it's just wonderful that as Roger Penske says, effort equals results. And boy, there's not very many people who put in more of an effort than Anthony Lazzaro.
No, that year I was doing a lot of the announcing, and I would see him, and he'd almost be in tears. Greg, I don't know how much more I can do. I don't know if I can continue this. Then he'd win one, and he'd be back like he's doing right here. What a move down to the inside. A change again in the lead in the LMP2 category. Anthony Lazzaro, and just a couple laps ago, the crew radioed to him, go get him. And Anthony did exactly that. Boy, what a great couple of laps he's thrown down here.
That was absolutely superb.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look at the lap time difference there. He gained nearly a second on that lap to Johnny Kane. Now, caught a little traffic here, so Kane's going to want that back. But I think that Anthony's going to be able to pull away here.
I think he made that move by getting a great run out of turn 7. I wonder, with the sun going down there, Johnny Kane doesn't have much experience around this racetrack. He's held up there by the GTC car coming down through the SS. It's going to give Anthony a bit of breathing space. Whether the vantage, the view that Anthony Lazzaro, he knows his track like the back of his hand, and with the sun setting over the trees there in turn 7, it's very, very difficult for Johnny Kane. Maybe that was where the advantage lay.
That's right. That is the advantage of having a home track.
Yes.
Wow, just spectacular. Did you see how close he cut the margin when Anthony went around that Porsche?
Saw that, yeah.
And which was what stuck Kane behind that car and gave Anthony the gap, but razor thin.
Yes, it is a game of inches for sure.
Isn't
that was about an inch from being a similar incident that we saw with the Viper and the other level 5 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Just unbelievably close. Speaking of Vipers, the 2 prototypes in P1 that are left running, stuck in the Viper sandwich right now. It's really a shame that those 2 Vipers had their issues a little bit earlier because they have been running some extraordinary. I mean, right now, they're both running 120s. Everybody else in the GT field, except everybody in the GT field is running 121s or 122s. Those 2 Vipers are just flying right now.
I think they've done a great job this year, the Team SRT, stepping in and, with some really, well thought of and teams that have just been year after year proving themselves, and they came in here and have won races and shown well from the very beginning. From Sebring on, they've shown great speed and becoming one of the teams that you mentioned with GM and Porsche and Ferrari and BMW. It's nice to see.
Well, I tell you what, that sun, you guys were talking about it here with it starting to set. One of the spots it's really bad, and it's now dropped low enough that it's not such an issue, is that run up into 3, because sometimes you come up that hill and you're literally pointing right at it. At least it's set behind the trees there, so you lose that, but it's a crazy place. And I was going to say to Archie, if he hasn't spent any time on the outside of turn 1 here at night watching these cars, that's a place to stop and watch too. It is spectacular, the speeds they carry through, and you just see the headlights dancing at you, tail lights dancing away. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is a great place to watch racing cars at this track at Road Atlanta. It's one of the best viewing tracks in the country, no question about that. In fact, probably the world as well. And it looks now that, Andrew, that the sun actually has set below the trees there, so that isn't an issue any longer, except the fact it's going to get dark out there pretty soon now.
What really starts to be the issue now as far as visibility is rearward visibility, because the lights of the cars behind you now start becoming a distraction as you're driving through the corners, especially in the GT cars, as you drive down into turn 12 or into the S's, where we've already seen an incident earlier that I had mentioned a second ago. Every time you're on, you're just on the edge. Your nerves are shot at the end of this race, because when you turn in for turn 12, you see the lights back there. You hope it's not a prototype car that's going to make a move, because of the clag and just the debris offline. Some of these corners, although we have a full dry line now and a full dry track, there's still one line in some of these corners. You don't want to drive offline.
And sometimes it's a little tough, isn't it? I mean, you know, especially the teams running the LED headlight systems and everything. Now you look in that mirror and you're blinded because it's just this immense flash of bright. It's very distracting.
In 2010, it was actually a big issue with the Audis, because they had their new LED technology and they were so bright that a lot of us were complaining, and they would flash their lights at us sometimes, and you couldn't see anything. You would be completely blinded, and really all that does is force you to start turning in. If I don't know who's back there, then I'm just going to defend the corner so I don't get run into. So you got to be careful.
It is, and you're kind of blinded there, and it makes it even more difficult to judge the depth perception, doesn't it? How far that car is behind you.
That's right. That's right. So it really becomes a difficult dance with the lights, and now the next hour or so, that's when that happens. You got a little bit more time of daylight where you can see who's back there, but now the lights are going to take over.
And I think it was a great move, that caution that was around 5 o'clock. When they took the extra time, got those sweepers out there and moved a bunch of those marbles and the other debris off the track, so that when it does start to get dark here, you've got a lot less of that you have to be worried about if you do get forced offline.
I was really happy to see that as well.
Smart call by the officials once again here. And, well, we are moving in on completing that 300th lap. That's, we're literally past quarter distance now, I think. Or three-quarter distance, I should say.
Absolutely right. And 7 hours and almost 15 minutes into the race. Nick Heidfeld, 295 laps completed. Anthony Lazzaro still clings on to that P2 lead by a couple of seconds over Johnny Kane. The 0-1 over the 5.52. Marino Franchitti, he just made a pit stop a little while ago in the 5.51 car, so has dropped back off the lead lap in P2. He'd been making stout progress towards those two. I think he was within about 50 seconds before he made that pit stop. So on slightly different strategies, those guys, and they elected to stay out during the previous caution period to get himself right back into contention in that P2 battle. And for Scott Tucker, running there in third place, he will share that car with Marino Franchitti and Ryan Briscoe. Third place, exactly what he needs. Even if the 0-1 car wins the class today, third place will be enough for Scott Tucker to clinch the Drivers' Championship in P2.
Well, we've got some fabulous battles across everything, don't we? We've been talking about that P2 battle with Anthony Lazzaro over Johnny Kane, Oswaldo Negri in the 25 LMP Challenge car over the number 8 of Stefan Johansson. That margin, about 20 seconds. That's after all of this time. Very close. That GT battle, Olivier Beretta has stretched it out just a little bit over Wolf Hensler. But again, that's very close with Jörg Mueller in the mix as well. Just some great racing going on here as we now go back and take a look at Anthony Lazzaro. And then GT Challenge, you got Madison Snow, a whopping 3.5 second margin over Craig Stanton, who's got a couple tenths in hand over Jerome Ble. I mean, it's just some marvelous racing this late in the going.
Certainly is, and Anthony Lazzaro there, he's driving very sensibly here. We saw one pass where he was very, very close to a GT car going down through the S's, but by and large here, he's leaving a pretty good margin when he goes around anyway, leaving no room for any sort of kind of mishaps to cause any problems for him.
Well, he was certainly in kill mode when he was trying to get by Johnny Kane, and now that he's by, he has to dial that back a little bit, right? Or else, you know, you keep making those close calls, and you can only make so many of those before one of them catches you out.
Yeah, before your luck catches up with you. Yeah.
On that one call of the very, very close, add another very or two. I mean, that happened, and I went, man, that shaving it is what that was. Your 5 class leaders, Nick Heidfeld continuing to lead overall. At some great battles unfolding here at Road Atlanta. The Petit Le Mans will continue.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
We all know what a horseless carriage is. Had to ride in the back of them with parents that could never give us a satisfactory answer to the question, are we almost there yet? And we long for the day when we could get portraits of our zit-ridden faces laminated onto plastic cards that would give us the authority to cruise up and down Main Street and burn a little rubber without any adult supervision. The average 16-year-old boy in America would rather have his own set of wheels than make out with the captain of the varsity cheerleader squad. How can we desire a machine more than another human being? Every driving machine has a body, but for a cube of metal to become a living, breathing entity worthy of our passion, it must have a soul. So it is up to the maker of the machine to breathe life into its creation. The machine cannot say it's greater than the maker, nor can the maker say the machine is beneath him, because through the process, the two have become one.
Now relax. Let the qi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. He's the acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran battery tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran battery tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
Dusk starting to fall here at Road Atlanta as the 16th annual Petit Le Mans powered by Mazda continues as we head ever closer to the end of the 2013 American Le Mans series presented by Tequila Patron season and the series itself. Of course, this event will continue. The series will blend with the Rolex Sports Car Championship into the new Tudor United Sports Car Series. The end of a fabulous journey, a great adventure that has been the American Le Mans Series. It's special indeed. This event is going to continue. It is going to be huge for a long time to come. And I'll tell you what, we have a fabulous race unfolding. Once again, overall, Nick Heidfeld has things in that Rebellion Toyota pretty well in hand at this stage. But Jeremy Shaw, we've got some amazing battles going on in the other 4 classes on the track. Points battles that are still in play as well. Lots of things to certainly take us through the final few hours here, and including squeeze plays like that as this race continues. It is special stuff indeed that we are watching unfold here today. Big thanks to Andrew Davis, who came in. He said, I only expected to stay for a little bit. I was having so much fun. He stayed for like 5 hours, and we appreciate that, and he did a great job.
Yeah, that was very kind of him to do that. And just looking at the scoring, I think while we were at that commercial break, I think here we see the two P2 leaders into the pits, and I think the PC leaders must have been in as well, because Kyle Marcelli has taken over the wheel of car number 8, and he's now closing He's within 4 seconds of the 25 car of Osvaldo Negri.
Incredibly close. Again, Olivier Beretta continuing to lead GT, running in the 8th overall spot in the number 62 Risi Competizione machine. 12 seconds clear of Wolf Hensler in that number 17 Falcon Tire Porsche that has had a tremendously strong run here this weekend, and absolutely delighted to see it. The number 55 BMW, the black Z4 GTE, in the hands of Jörg Müller, sits another 13 seconds adrift in third. John Edwards in the number 56 team car, the one that Dirk Müller, who has an outside shot at the Drivers' Championship, rides in that car, 22 seconds back. And then the number 3 Corvette, Jordan Taylor, sits in the spot. He's down a lap at this stage, just being out of sequence on pit stops in that number 3 CompuWare car. So keeping it in the hunt, certainly doing what he needs to do at this point. In GT Challenge, Madison Snow now at the helm of the 45 Flying Lizards. That is the East Silicon Venezuela car, and he's got what, 5.6 seconds in hand over Jerome Bleekenmolen. And I tell you, you look at the times, at least at this stage, Bleekenmolen's going quick. So's Madison Snow.
Absolutely right. In fact, Madison Snow has been, he eked out a little bit of an advantage over Jerome Bleekenmolen, because they were pretty much nose to tail at the last restart, which was what, sort of 40 minutes or so ago. And the gap between those two leaders now in GTC, the 45 car of Madison Snow leads Jerome Bleekenmolen by about 5.6 seconds, the 22 car, and the 66 car of Craig Stanton, he's hanging right there as well, just another second or so behind. So that battle for in GTC is absolutely ongoing. And then just one lap down now, both the number 11 car and the 27. We saw Andy Lally regain one of his lost laps in that number 27 car. So he's just a lap or so down now on the leaders in GTC.
And let's put one thing in perspective here in GT Challenge. Madison Snow, the number 45 car, Nelson Canachet and Spencer Pompelli, essentially second in the points, but they're a long ways back. They need to win it, and they need to have a big issue for the 22 WeatherTech AJR Porsche. Right now, that's not happening. That WeatherTech Porsche, Jerome Bleekenmolen and Cooper McNeil are running in second. That's more than enough for Jerome and Bleekenmolen, for Jerome and Cooper to be able to get the championship. But the team championship, the 45 Lizard car came in slightly ahead, and that Spencer said that's what we're really thinking about, is winning the team championship. If we luck into the Drivers' Championship, great. We know that one's a stretch. They're doing exactly what they need to do for that team's championship.
They are indeed. If you're out on track at the far end of the racetrack here, turns 6 and 7, this is a battle for PC.
Wow.
Down to the inside of the lap car, the number 31 car in GTC. Christina Nielsen driving that car. Goes Ozzy Negri in car number 25, but right now, absolutely less than a car length behind him. Car number 8, Kyle Marcelli, has taken over the wheel from Stefan Johansson. Kyle Marcelli would be in, I'm sure, now for the push to the finish. And that was a great run. He's got down the back straight. He's going to go to the inside in turn 10.
He's see if he can out deep him. He does. New leader in LMP Challenge, and that started at turn 7. The way that Kyle set up, squared up underneath Christina to get the run out of the corner. Not only didn't he lose anything getting by her, but that line he chose actually allowed him to get on the throttle a little bit sooner, and that paid off huge dividends in the braking zone for turn 10. Kyle Marcelli, fantastic job. Now though, coming up on traffic, and it's a group of cars that are not just going to get out of the way and let him through. It is our GT leader, of course, who's trying to maintain that pace. There's a Corvette there, there's a Viper there as well. This should be fun.
Yeah, and that is exactly what he needs if he's going to wrest away this championship in PC. Kyle Marcelli needs to win the race. He's in the lead of it right now.
Absolutely he is. That is fantastic what is unfolding in that LMP Challenge category. Again, the two of them are running 6th and 7th overall right now. Next PC car is the 05 entry of Core Autosport, back in 12th overall. 3rd in class, however. But again, keep in mind that car and its lead driver in terms of team principal, John Bennett, was a point behind Chris Cumming. And the way that this is folding and where that number 52 machine is sitting back in 5th, boy, this is still a championship that's well and truly being debated, isn't it?
It is indeed, but for Kyle Marcelli there in car number 8, and he and Chris Cumming in particular, Kyle Marcelli didn't score points in one race earlier on this season, so it's Chris Cumming who holds the points advantage in that number 8 car. He needs, if he can win the race, then for Michael Gouache, who leads the points coming into this weekend, Gouache needs to finish in 4th. He's currently in 5th. If he stays in 5th, Kyle Marcelli was running in 2nd. That was still good and in the favor of Mike Gouache. But now Marcelli is into the lead in PC, and that means that he is in position now to be able to win this PC championship.
Well, Marcelli working through all that traffic. There is one of the GT Challenge cars, the number 10. Way down to the inside goes Oz Negri. Boy, that was a really aggressive move, but he had to do it well.
Kyle Marcelli has been turning it on here since he took over the wheel of that car just a few laps ago. He's closed right in on Ozzy Negri. He's made the move now, and if you look at the fastest laps between these two, well, here's the GT 62. The GT leader is off the road. That's turn 6. Exeter turn 6.
Wow, look at the mirror dangling, so you'd think there may have been a little bit of some sort of contact.
Indeed so. Right-hand mirror is loose on that car. If it falls off, he will have to come in, I believe, and replace it. So, wow, Olivier Beretta, he's made a few mistakes this season. I don't know what happened there exactly, but he hauled out about a 15-second margin over Wolf Hensler in 2nd place in the number 17 Falcon Tires Porsche. And Wolf Hensler still has his mirrors full of Jörg Müller. That battle going on. John Edwards in the 56 car, he's closed right in there as well. But Beretta has dropped several positions in the class.
Yeah, down to 4th. Wow. It showed last time by. Let's see.
So that was a big off there.
That was a big off. Yeah, he's gone from the lead to 10 seconds behind. Man. But it's Hensler, half a second in front of Jörg Müller. John Edwards, 4.5 seconds back. Olivier Beretta, 10 seconds back. It's incredibly close, but yeah, what a huge swing for Olivier.
It cost that incident cost him 25 seconds. So we just saw him rejoining the road there in turn 7, but clearly it was much more than that for Olivier Beretta. And what was looking like a commanding advantage of well over 10 seconds is now a deficit of 10 seconds. So it's all gone wrong here all of a sudden for Risi Competizione and that Ferrari car number 62. Nobody else seems to be off down there. So what the drama is, we don't really know, but hopefully we're going to find out very shortly.
Yeah, that dangling mirror has a story to tell us.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think.
Man.
Unbelievable development here. Is well, we were watching some of the great action here, and of course, one thing that we've been watching unfold today, these teams and these tire engineers have been working fantastically at it. 15 years of ALMS, lots of changes, rules, technology, the classes, and the evolution of the tire is no different. Jamie Howe has more on that.
In the early 8 days of the American Le Mans Series and Petit Le Mans, this is what the tires looked like that were on the P1 cars. You can see that it's short and it's not very wide, but today, this is the tire that we see on the P1 cars. It's wider, it's taller, and by working with the partners like Audi, Toyota, and Honda, this is what the tires have developed into. But by having the wider tires specifically on the fronts, Michelin has been able to triple the stint on these tires. And Chris Baker, you're the director of motorsports for Michelin. Why does having a wider tire make them last longer?
Well, LMP1 cars generate tremendous speed and downforce. So in order to manage the front axle loads, we created larger, wider, taller front tires to better distribute the loads. We get better lateral grip, better braking grip, and the tires last longer so we can multiple scent them.
Well, you can see there's been clearly a lot of development. Old school, new school, these guys never quit developing.
Yeah, it's when they first did it, when the first car started coming out with that, you look at it and went, am I seeing that right? But then you think about the effectiveness of it and maybe what you lose in terms of aerodynamic efficiency, having that bigger hump in the front of the car is more than made up for with the amazing technology in the tires and the grip levels in that braking, in that cornering, and that stability and the like, and the ability to as he said, not just double stint, but even triple stint the front tires, which of course can take a fair amount of load. Now, we were talking about what unfolded with Olivier Beretta in the 62 Risi Ferrari. We got that mirror dangling. Here's what happened. Watch it here. Ooh, yeah, just turned in and got into one of those GTC Porsches.
Well, he didn't hit the Porsche. He was just trying to go around the outside of it, and I think just got a little bit wide going into the corner.
And that's how the mirror got derailed.
Yes, exactly. He made contact there with the wall on the outside of turn 6, and that's why he lost 25 seconds. It wasn't just a quick spin and rejoin in the road. He actually spun all the way around. You can see the mirror, or we can see the mirror dangling off the car as he rejoined. That has since fallen off the car, so that will have to be replaced at its next pit stop. So, boy, it's all gone wrong for Risi Competizione. Beretta was doing a pretty good job here, the veteran monogas driver, and he was pulling away from the field, edging away from the field. Had about a 14-second lead before that error, and it was a definite error. I mean, there was no pressure. There were lots of cars around him, but he was trying to go around the outside of a GTC car up at turn 6.
And they have been told that he is expected, race control, I'm saying, has informed the team they expect to see that car in pit lane this lap to take care of that mirror. And you know what, you go, really, is it that important? You bet. When you've got cars that are running as fast as the P1 and P2 machines around here, you need to know what's coming. And sometimes we'll see an actual mirror be replaced. The team in this case is saying, no, to fix that, it will be much more difficult to actually fix only the mirror. We're just going to replace the entire door panel. And so this will be interesting to see just how quick they can affect this change. Beretta is in. Looking at the marks, there's the team. And the lollipop, he stops on cue. And, of course, they're going to start with a tire change as always, Chris.
Well, Calvin, I think the team was actually trying to buy some time to get a couple more laps because this is a bit early in the stint. Rick Mayer was telling him try and keep the car out as long as possible, as this team had a door and a mirror ready to go for the fix about 2 laps ago. So it's going to be interesting to see the download of what Olivier Beretta says to the team, because he initially told him that he had some contact with another car out there. But obviously through that replay we saw, it looks like he just lost it. The team also going with medium compound Michelin tires. I've been watching the track temperature and the ambient temperature, and in the last hour we've gone from about 70 degrees ambient down to the low 60s. So the Michelin engineer down here was really rolling the dice and decided to go with medium tires right now.
Yeah, and they changed up the strategy at the last moment. They had the door ready. We were informed that's what they were going to do. And then what they did instead was they had a mirror with a quick mount on it, and they just slapped that mirror on the side of the car, and he is back out. So, boy, that's the way you do that and not lose much time. And maybe going with that medium Michelin right now as we start to get into the cool evening. Wow, good call.
Yeah, great stop there, but we've got 80 odd laps to go. It's probably 2 full fuel stints, and I'm sure Rick Mayer, the engineer, he wanted to stay out because, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, you kind of back your strategy up from the end of the race. We've got certainly more than around about 2 hours to go in this race, so he might be able to get to the end now on just one more pit stop. But that's why he would have stayed out as long as he possibly did, to make sure he can get to the end of the race with just one more pit stop. So it might not cost him as much as it would have done, but certainly this is a lot earlier than they planned to come in, and they would the strategy would have let them go a lot longer than this, because he was last on the pit lane a little bit less than an hour ago, but we had that lengthy caution period, so he could probably done another 10 or 15 laps, and that of course means less time in the pits because you need to take on less fuel.
Well, that tells me that the folks up in race control are pretty sharp, because they went, they're going to try and hang on and stay out there as long as they can, and we got to get that mirror fixed on that car. So they told them to come on in. They caught that strategy play. You can see what happens when you put on a cold set of tires. That GT Challenge Porsche passed and left the Ferrari. Now those tires, as they are going to hit the temperature, and remember, it's not just temperature in the tire, it's the air pressure in the tire, and any change in air pressure in the tire effectively changes the spring rate in the suspension, and so these tires are designed for a special pressure, and they are out. Boy, we got full course caution.
We have indeed.
Yeah, full course caution.
That's a stroke of luck for Ferrari, I can tell you that.
Isn't it?
They did make the also took the opportunity to change drivers in the car. So number 10 car of Charlie Putman in 6th place in GTC has pulled that car. Well, it looks like he's had some sort of an incident, but Olivier Beretta has got out of the car. Matteo Maliucelli has got into the car. So Beretta did, as the regular season driver, he only did an hour and a half in his first stint. This second stint of his in the race, less than an hour.
Yep.
Tells you something, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Boy,
in a 10-hour race.
Yeah, that rear wing tells the story too. That he definitely got into something over there, and that's why we went full course caution as we were at lap 312, working lap 312 of 394. Here comes the EV crew coming up at us here, and they will be hooking and getting ready to get that car removed as quick as possible. And we're getting a report that was caught by our exceptional camera crew, and so we'll have a replay for you in that in just a moment. And you know what? That's something that I think we would be very remiss if we didn't say something. You know, in the 15-year history of the American Le Mans Series, one of, I think, the standout things in this program, and there's been so many, of course, Jeremy, but it has been the work of the TV crews, the technical staff and the TV crews, the camera people out in the weather. Every specialist in the TV crew has been absolutely exceptional, from the production right on down. And tell you what, we have some of the best camera operators. They don't miss a thing, and neither do the replay folks in the truck. It's an exceptional group.
Yeah, it's been an awful lot of fun to be part of this group, I must say. And I don't know what the future is going to bring, but it's been an absolute privilege to be involved in this series for the last 5 or 6 years, and yeah, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Yeah, pretty special group indeed. So there's getting the safety car ready to go. So safety car's out. That's the safety team going to get that car hooked up and out of harm's way. Like I say, this is certainly going to play into the favor of the 62 car. Yeah, absolutely. Because ironically, because they generally get better fuel consumption, they can stay out longer. But now the way this has worked out, they can stay out now when everybody else will come in under this caution period. Plus, they managed to get their faster driver, Matteo Magliucelli, behind the wheel of that number 62 car as well. So doubly good news, effectively, for the Risi Competizione team. And I'll tell you what, after everything going wrong in the early part of the season, I guess maybe they're owed something. Yeah, absolutely, I think so. And here we are under this full course caution, and you can see the number 10 car now being towed behind the IMSA safety vehicle that is going to be pulling it away. That is the number 10 entry from Dempsey Racing. That's the Paul Reed Smith guitar car that was being driven by Charlie Putman, and here is what caused this moment. Oh boy, oh, it's going to be the old hook slide. Nope, kissed that wall, and now just is going to come straight across. Oh. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that was a big shunt. So yeah, just ran wide, and we saw that the officials took the advantage of the caution period not too long ago. It extended a little bit to sweep up some of the rubber marbles on that part of the track. So it certainly wasn't nearly as bad as it was earlier on. I think Charlie just ran a little bit too wide there in turn 12, got off over that curb and onto the grass, and away she went. You know, engineering innovations from the race car often make their way into production models. Race on Sunday, sell on Monday. Well, Justin Bell and Johnny O'Connell took this opportunity to give us one last glimpse into Corvette's transfer of technology.
Over the years, Justin Bell and I have done a lot of technology bits on Corvettes. C5, C6, finally, C7 is here, and Justin, I love this car.
And so do I. It's just so cool to see all that experience put into one road-going reality we now know as the Stingray. And for me, Johnny, I really love the front. All that aero lessons learned put into this car. And of course, under the hood here, they've tilted the radiator forward, just like the race car. With this huge hood scoop, it's not just about cooling, it's about creating downforce, sending all that air to the back of the car.
And Justin, I love the back of the car. Very aggressive with this big spoiler. That's going to create downforce. But then we go even lower and we see the diffuser creating downforce from the bottom of the car. But you know what, Justin? You and I are drivers, and what I love most about C7 is the cockpit. It's designed for the driver. You can see we've got a seat that's going to hold me tight. As I get in here, I notice that all the controls are pointed towards me. Everything about this car is about the driver's experience, and what's really beautiful about it is there's a passenger seat that I know is going to fit you perfectly.
Thanks for the offer, but I'm not taking him up on it. What I think, though, is while Johnny and myself, and probably you at home, will never get behind the wheel of a race-going Corvette, driving the Stingray is a pretty cool option.
GM has enjoyed much success in the American Le Mans Series since they started racing. They started with the C5. Now we're in the 9th year of the C6. Looking forward to the C7. You guys have won 10 championships. Jeff, you're the director, or you're the marketing manager for GM Racing. What are you guys looking forward to with the new C7?
I'll tell you what, we have got a lot of things in store for next year, and we're really excited to be going to the Rolex 24 at Daytona in January. You know, we've just announced or just introduced our 2014 Corvette street car, the Stingray. It's in the dealerships now. Well, we've taken that technology and we're going to go race at Daytona with the new C7R race car. And it's really cutting edge technology, and we're very much looking forward to going there.
We've seen so much success here on the racetrack. How closely do they work together in the street car version and the race car version?
I'll tell you, the whole key is the technology transfer. Racing makes our production cars better, and the C6 is proof of that. Now the new C7, like I said, that is in the dealership showroom right now, is absolutely a direct result of our racing programs.
Looking forward to seeing that race car out on the racetrack next year.
Yeah, it has done a lot of testing. It actually made its first public appearance in a disguise, if you will, at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca a little bit earlier this year. Everybody is very, very excited about it unfolding. And boy, take a look. When that sun drops behind the hills here, it goes away in a hurry. And of course, the nice thing is our cameras have the ability, the onboards as well as our outside cameras have the ability to really open up the aperture and let a lot of light in, more than the human eye can, and it looks a lot brighter sometimes even than it is. But you can see the challenges that they're now going to face. Some of the key corner stations where the marshals are providing information to the drivers have some lights on it. There's a lot of ambient light now around the track, of course, but still, this is when it gets pretty challenging.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, I was talking about the fact that I thought this caution was going to play into the favor of the Risi Ferrari team, but I think that, and it's awfully difficult from we don't have a vantage point here in our studio, but I believe, looking at the timing and scoring, that maybe that car is a lap down, and that time loss from Beretta before he made the pit stop, and that long pit stop, I think maybe they've come out behind the leaders in GT. So they will cycle through onto the tail end of the lead lap before, once the other guys come into the pit lane, but it's still going to be actually, I'm not sure whether they will, because Nick Tandy, it depends where the cars are on the racetrack, because Nick Tandy has taken over the wheel of the number 17 car from Wolf Hensler. Again, that was just a little while ago. It's amazing. These cautions seem to be coming out just about at 1 hour intervals, which is just about the sort of time period that most of the GT cars come onto pit lane, except for the Ferrari. But the pits are now open, so we'll know more once the sequence has been completed in the pits.
There's the 0-1, David Brabham at the controls heading toward Chris Neville down in pit lane.
Yeah, Calvin and the team also very happy to see David Brabham back behind the wheel. Justin, we were talking earlier this weekend and you said all of these drivers on this team very fast, but David Brabham has done so much development work over his career in race cars. He was really able to bring a lot more to this team this weekend at Sebring earlier this year. The team's still so new to this car. All the tools that David has really weren't utilized. This weekend, they've learned a ton.
And the 551 Level 5 Motorsports car is in. Marino Franchitti will stay behind the wheel for the duration of this race. They're going to give him 4 new Michelin tires. And remember, if Scott Sharp in the 01 car from Extreme Speed wins, this car must finish second in order to get Scott Tucker, the team owner, his 10th ALMS championship. It was a clean start, a bit of a delay getting it fired back up, but Marino Franchitti back out.
Yeah, and the Level 5 team elected not to bring the 552 of Johnny Kane into the pits this time around. So Marino done a fabulous job to get that car back onto the pit lane. Also the strategists there, led by Jeff Brown. Those guys have, again, worked their numbers, worked their magic to get this car from 2 laps down the 551 as it was earlier on, now back onto the lead lap and very much into contention now.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, leaving Kane out is going to put him in the lead. Then we'll see how things cycle when that car makes the stop. We just get word now, next time around, pits are open for the GT cars, and we'll see who decides to head into the pits at that point.
Yeah, and this P2 battling is going to come down now to a battle between David Brabham and Marino Franchitti, and that is going to be fun to watch. I think this is not really going to play in the favor of the 552 car, but for Level 5, they're not worried about that. Well, they sort of are. But as long as the 551 can finish right up there, then they'll be happy.
Absolutely. Right now, they've already locked up the team championship, so they're trying to get Scott Tucker a championship, and that's what they are working toward right now. On board the number 55 BMW, let's see who's heading in. The team car is, the 55 car is, and it looks like pretty much everybody in the queue heading down into pit lane here. Right now we've got, I mean, if you're by the time count, 2 hours and 13 minutes yet to go, but we're into the last, 80 laps or so at this stage. Both BMWs are heading in. They're going to get these pit stops done together, and I believe Kelly Stavis is waiting at their stall.
Well, the 56 and Dirk Mueller will still need a little bit of help from that 3 Corvette to win the championship, but they'd certainly love to end on a high note regardless. It will be Dirk Mueller getting behind the wheel of the 56 car, so he'll finish things out as he tries to climb his way back to the top of the championships. Behind him is the 55. They're also making a driver change, so Maxime Martin will finish things out in the 55 BMW. And we've got the GTC leader in as well, Chris.
Yeah, Kelly, boy, you just have to blink in GTC, and you've got a new leader, the 22. They were down 2 laps early in this race. They had a little bit of splitter damage because Jerome Bleekmolen had run over some debris on the racetrack in just the first couple hours of the race. So that's where they lost those couple laps early on. But now back in the lead of this race, Kelly.
We see both BMWs get out. They've got all new Michelin tires on. There's a Corvette still completing its pit stop down towards pit out. With 55 and 56, both clean stops.
And they are on their way. The field continues. Oh, look at that. There's some great sculpting out there with a Halloween spirit to it. We'll be right back.
Deltran battery tender battery chargers. Just like the everyday consumer, the racing community knows the importance of a healthy charge. Deltran battery tender is the trusted charger for some of the most respected brands in the world today. Don't let a dead battery ruin your fun or work. If you can't start it, you can't drive it. Connect a Deltran battery tender battery charger to all of your batteries. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
We all know what a horseless carriage is. Had to ride in the back of them with parents that could never give us a satisfactory answer to the question, are we almost there yet? And we long for the day when we could get portraits of our zit-ridden faces laminated onto plastic cards that would give us the authority to cruise up and down Main Street and burn a little rubber without any adult supervision. The average 16-year-old boy in America would rather have his own set of wheels than make out with the captain of the varsity cheerleader squad. How can we desire a machine more than another human being? Every driving machine has a body, but for a cube of metals to become a living, breathing entity worthy of our passion, it must have a soul. So it is up to the maker of the machine to breathe life into its creation. The machine cannot say it's greater than the maker, nor can the maker say the machine is beneath him, because through the process, the two have become one.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Back at Petit Le Mans, its 16th running, and of course one of the championships within the championship is the Michelin Green X Challenge. Clean, fast, efficient, lots of intricate formulas of course that make that happen, but whoever goes the fastest and the farthest and does so with the least impact on the environment wins the Green X Challenge. Now that happens in 2 of the categories, prototype, so it can be any of the 3, P1, P2, PC, or GT. It can be a GT car, it can be a GT Challenge car. All comes down to what that formula produces. And of course there's the within the race battles that they do at the end of each race. We present the category winner, but there's also a season winner, if you will, in each of the categories. And it is truly one of the more prestigious awards that you can win. Looks like we might be coming back to green flag here. Indeed, we are. Safety car is in. Rolling down to the bottom of the hill and picking up the green flag, it is Neil Johnny. Once again, driving that beautiful Rebellion timepieces Lola Toyota, leading away and up the hill into turn 1. As I think we can well and truly say, it's dark.
It is dark, you're absolutely right. It's a completely different perspective now. And for the drivers who've just got in, it's a hard adjustment for the drivers who've been out there now during this caution period, which is it's really gone completely dark during this caution period. So it's a little bit tricky. It'll take the drivers just a lap or two to feel comfortable in these conditions. But certainly the cars they work just as well, if not even better, in these conditions. It's cooler than it was. The engines breathe really, really well. And the track conditions now are pretty good. Yeah, there's some debris out there, but they've done a good job, I think, of keeping this track as clean as they can. But we've got all sorts of great battles going on here. And let me correct myself, in P2 I said that Scott Tucker needed to finish 3rd in class, and of course Jamie had it right down the pits. He does indeed need to finish 2nd, and that is why the 552 car did not come into the pits during that caution.
Right.
It will come in later on the green, and then the 01 will lead the class. Marino Franchitti will be 2nd in the 551, and we probably won't have a battle between Brabham and Franchitti because if the 551 car finishes in 2nd place, that's all Scott Tucker needs. He doesn't need to win the race. So I'm sure they will tell Marino Franchitti, just stay where you are. No need to be a hero here, because all you can be really is a 0.
Exactly. Yeah, in this case, just bring it home in 2nd. That'll be good enough. And he certainly has done a great job. They have hauled that car right back up into contention. And right now, I mean, after that caution, now he's only 4 seconds behind Brabham at this point. So he can just sit back, watch, and see how things develop at this point.
They're pretty much nose to tail for 2nd and 3rd in the class at the moment. Is this them coming up towards here in turn 6?
Might be.
Might well be, actually. No, it's not.
It's one of our LMP Challenge machines.
It is, but it's amazing. I mean, in all the classes, it's that close. We've got 3 cars within 4 seconds in P2. In PC, we've got the number 8 car leading the 25 by, well, a couple of car lengths. In GT, we've got the Nick Tandy car in car number 17. He's taken over the wheel of that car from Wolf Hensler. He leads by, well, a couple of seconds over the 2 BMWs, 56 and the 55. And Matteo Malicelli, I believe now, is at the tail end of the lead lap. We'll have to wait until the scoring comes through. So again, he did lose a lap during that pit stop, and it's awfully difficult to see from the vantage point that we don't have here. So my apologies for that, for leading you astray a little bit. But I think the 62 car will probably need one more caution period to get back on terms with the leaders in GT. But even if that doesn't occur, we've still got a fabulous battle going on.
Well, and right there, the second pairing of cars, those are the P2 machines right there. That's David Brabham and Marino Franchitti, who is right line astern as we hop on board. That's how close it is. We're on board right now with Franchitti. That's Brabham right in front of him. 2 cars in front of is our PC leader right now. Second in PC, Oz Negri.
Indeed it is. And
whoa! Yeah, boy, that was quite the move.
Jumping over the inside there, David Brabham on the curb on the inside turn 6. That's not the easiest thing to do. It's quite a high curb down there.
Yeah, it is. Somehow he made that work. Now out of 7, and now this long run down into turn 10. And boy, I'll tell you, it doesn't get a whole lot closer than what we're looking at here right now.
Yeah, great fun, a great battle between these contenders now in P2. This is going to be a fun battle over the next, how long we've got to go? 70 odd laps, 74 laps in this race. So I think we should get in under the 10-hour limit, but not by an awful lot if there's another caution period. We've had 7 cautions so far in this race for a variety of incidents. Other than that, and of course we had some wet weather running earlier on, which caused all sorts of other pit stops. But it's been a tremendously exciting race, and all these battles coming down now to the closing stages of the race in GTC. Spencer Pompelli leads once again in the 45 car. He's about 3 seconds ahead of Jerome Bleckermoll in the 22 car, and Damien Faulkner is not far back either in number 66. So we've got 3 cars very much in contention in GTC. We've got at least 3 cars in contention in GT, and the same in P2. I reckon that's kind of fun after what's
Well,
almost 8 hours racing.
I reckon that's spectacular. And I'll tell you, I know it's tough to see the cars, but that shot of those cars winding down through the S's with just headlights and taillights, just beaming and glowing and dancing, this is a magical time here at the racetrack. Absolutely love it. And I think that car that made that amazing move, that may have been Rob Bell. He's down a ways, but I think he's in that mix, and I think he just sort of forced his way through. He's trying to do whatever he can, obviously, to help things out here. Down into turn 10. Again, another side by each battle down into that corner. Out of turn 10 now, up under the bridge into turn 11, and the run down the front straight. Intense, furious racing right now in LMP2.
A great job Carl Marcelli is doing in Wheeler Carnival 8 for Bar 1 Motorsports. He's pulling away now from Ozzie Negri. 4.5 seconds quicker on that lap was the Canadian Kyle Marcelli, hunting for his 3rd win in succession along with Chris Cumming for Bar 1 Motorsports. That's an amazing turnaround. The second part of this season for Bar 1 has been absolutely magnificent. If they can keep that up with the 52 car running back still in 5th place in the class, and not really with a hope, it's 10 laps behind the 4th place car. So for Mike Gouache, he really needs some dramas for one of the cars ahead of him to win the championship now in PC.
Boy, this is interesting stuff, watching what's unfolding here. Out of turn 7 once again, this long run down the backstretch. There is a look at the number 17, Nick Tandy. I'll tell you what, obviously this car has got great speed today and great driving, but how about the pit stops that this Falcon Tire team has been able to put together?
But that's the Falcon Tires Porsche there, and how many headlights does it have? Only one.
Yes.
It's the right front headlight has gone out again, and the officials are not going to like that. We heard about it earlier on. Once it declared a dark race, you have to have both headlights working. Oh my goodness me, what a drama here for the Falcon Tires Porsche team. We saw it made that pit stop, what was it, a couple of hours ago now, and it was fixed somehow, but with that tail light, with the front light not working on the 17 car, he's going to have to bring that car in fairly soon.
Yeah, well, that's the side of the car that has that little bit of damage on it, isn't it? So that may have got in and just jostled some of the connectors and the like. Oh, that would just be criminal.
It really would.
So sad with the run they put on today.
A magnificent show by particularly Nick Tandy, the Porsche driver, joining Wolf Hensler and Brian Sellers, the 2 regular drivers in these cars. Nick Tandy, of course, he's got a lot of experience in these cars in Europe. He's been a contender in the ALMS Championship this year, the European Le Mans Series, race at Le Mans, race everywhere. Done a lot of Porsche driving over the last few years. A very talented young man, and boy, what a job he has done for this team this week, and particularly today in the race.
And, of course, local favorite Brian Sellers withstood some huge pressure earlier as well. Chris, what are you hearing from the 17 pit?
Well, Calvin, I just checked in with the team, and they said they think it's a connection problem, so they don't really understand why that headlight relit on that last pit stop. But now once you get back out on the track and bouncing around, that headlight has gone out again. Now, that corner does have quite a bit of bodywork damage. It's contact earlier in this race, so they're just going to have to take a look at that corner and see where that connection could be coming loose.
Oh, boy, and it's just a matter of how long they can stay out before they're told to come in. And, I'm sure they're hoping that he hits a bump really good and suddenly that light pops on and then they get a little bit more life out of it. And stranger things have happened.
Yeah, they certainly have.
Maybe that's what they need him to do. Just tell him really hit that curb at 3 hard and see what happens. Either both come on or the other one goes out. Either way, you're going to have to make a pit stop. Boy, it is absolutely insane right now in P2. You are on board right now with the number 552, Johnny Kane, who continues to lead the class by a whopping 0.3 of a second over Brabham, who's got a 0.6 of a second margin over Marino Franchitti. And you can see the dance in the headlight, or the mirrors.
If you're watching the picture there, you can see in the mirror the 2 other P2 cars right behind him. 1, 2, 3 in the class here. Absolutely nose to tail through the turn 10 chicane one more time. This will be the 318th time past the start-finish line, and 0.6 of a second covered this trio on the last time around. This time it might be even closer.
No, look at that. Yeah, I think Marino came by and actually got a good enough run that he was able to just show the nose just a little bit, heading down into turn 1. Wow, this is just some unbelievable stuff here. And eventually, obviously, you said it, they've got level 5 has 2 options. They can either tell Marino to go after it, and if he can, to get in front of Brabs, or, as you said, they could pit Johnny Kane under green, which will take him behind that car and let Brabham win it, but that number 551 finishing second would do it. So it's they've got options here.
Yeah, they have the 0-1 and the 552, the 0-1 of extreme speed, the 552 of level 5. They were on the same strategies, effectively, in terms of fuel stints, but during this last caution period, the 0-1 guys, the extreme speed, elected to bring in their car, the 0-1. I think that was definitely the smart move. But Johnny Kane stayed out in the 552, so he's got a lot less fuel on board the 552, and he leads the way. And Marino Franchitti looks at the inside there of David Brabham coming down into turn 10, decides the better part of that.
Well, you wonder, I mean, obviously Marino knows what the strategy is, but you wonder if he's not going, well, I'm going to have some fun with Brabs at least, and you know, mess with his head just a little bit. I don't know that you know, that's how that's effective with a guy like David Brabham. And boy, Brabs now almost thought about it. He got an opportunity, was going to try and ramp the outside to get around Johnny, but one of the GTC Porsches was right where he needed to go. And that was, you know, you saw David Brabham at his best right there. Judged it right once he made that commitment, realized it wasn't going to work, didn't force it, just eased out, waited till that car swept over to the right a little bit and cut through. Brabs again, though, getting a great run out of turn 5, and this time he might be able to do something, but Marino is going to try and mess with him as well. For a minute I thought we were going to see 3 abreast down in there. No, at this point, wow.
But I think that
I think Brabs got it done.
Yeah, Johnny Kane went from first to third there because it was 3 wide and heads up there driving by Johnny Kane because he saw the 2 cars on the inside. Hey, I don't want to get in the mix with this, so he let Marino go through as well as David Brabham. So all changed there in the P2 class, and I think that was Jerome Blakemolen. They split.
Yeah, I think you're
going up the hill.
right.
And, boy, that was a scary moment there for Jerome Blakemolen going up the hill there because it's not a straight part of the track. It weaves from the track. Goes from sort of right to left and then back to right again, and he just kept his nose clean, kept his line right in the middle of the road, and allowed those 2 P2 cars to go either side of him. Heads up by Jerome Blakemolen.
Yes, it was, and I think that was a very savvy move by Johnny Kane. You know that they've been on the radio to him. Oh, and here comes Brabs got blunted just a little bit. And Marino thought about it. Now they get trapped. Now Brab's going to have to go around the outside of, that's the Dempsey car, I believe.
No, it's the 11 car, I think.
Is it the 11, the JDX car?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Marino Franchitti got held up there. And again,
oh, yeah, he did. You're right.
Smart driving by Marino Franchitti. He didn't try to follow David Brabham.
To go for your stint.
He didn't try and force the issue there, as we've seen a couple of instances there earlier in the race.
Here's that
it's difficult enough for 1 car to get past there, 2, no chance.
There's that triple attempt pass with Brabs going through, and again, as I was going to say, I think Johnny Kane, he's been made very aware of who those guys are behind him, and when he saw Brabs come through and he saw Marino go through, he said, well, if I let them both go, that puts the 552 or the 551 car into second. That's good enough for the championship. So instead of risking anything, we'll just play that card and see how that one works out. And now what Brabham is doing is the best thing he possibly can do is just drive. Just drive, try and open this margin up and hope for something to develop behind him. And Brabs is doing exactly that.
Yeah, well, Brabham needs to win the race. He needs to hope that Marino Franchitti has some sort of a problem in the 551 car. That's what has to happen in order for David Brabham's teammate Scott Sharp to win the championship in P2.
Well, unlike the level 5 team, Brabs doesn't have anybody that can help him right now because that 02 car is lapsed down at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It is. They have got that car going, and they had some problems earlier on. But Rob Bell, it was the broken right to left rear suspension, wasn't it? So they got that car going again, but it did 17 laps down to the leaders in P2.
We are into our final 2 hours if it goes the length. And we have completed now 327 laps of 394 total.
Yeah, and in GTC, Spencer Pompelli is eking out that advantage over Jerome Blakemolen. He's out now to 10 seconds between the 45 car that's leading with Spencer Pompelli and the 22 of Jerome Blakemolen. But there lurking in 3rd place now is Damien Faulkner for TRG in car number 66. Damien Faulkner with Ben Keating. He's won the last 2 races for TRG in GTC. You'd love to make it 3.
Boy, absolutely, wouldn't he? And I'll tell you, I think, part of the problem for Jerome Bleegemolen losing a little bit of time there is he keeps getting caught in these squeeze plays of these prototypes coming by. And at some point, when they're coming through like that, you've got to do the smart thing and give just a little bit. And that, of course, costs momentum. That costs time. And so he's dropped back just a little bit. But tell you what, Spencer Pumpelly has simply been on form the entirety of this weekend.
Yeah, for the whole of the season, really. I mean, we've seen him. He's been qualifying on pole positions on a regular basis. Never done that before, and he's driving, with a tremendous maturity as well.
Yes.
They've scored 2 wins already this season, and he's on course here for win number 3. And if he can do that, it will be enough certainly for Flying Lizard Motorsport to clinch the championship, the team's championship in GTC, and that would be very impressive for the team's first season in GTC, having stepped away from the GT ranks from the past however many years it's been.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. And of course, he got some great help. Nelson Kenechey drove some amazing stint times here when he was in the car, and Madison Snow did a great job when he was in the car here. It's very much a team effort, but boy, I'll tell you what, Spencer Pumpelly, not a bad guy to have behind the wheel right now to bring this home.
Yeah, very much so. Here we're lap 329 now, so what's that, 65 laps to go?
Yeah.
My maths at this stage in the game.
I hear you. But, for those 2 cars in GTC, first and second, it's win-win right now. Obviously, Spencer and Nelson would not get the Drivers' Championship. That would go to Jerome and Cooper. But, as you said, the 45 team gets the team championship, so everybody comes out a winner. You like to just do the whole thing, of course. That really shows that you had a dominant year. But sometimes you take what you can get here. And Neil Johnny, that car back now into the 112s. He is starting to up it a little bit again. Some of that's clear track, and some of that is a fast track. I think this track is getting nicely rubbered in, and it's cool out there. The engines are loving it. The aero is loving it, and they are really able to hustle the car. I remember years ago at Sebring, back in the original IMSA in the old GTP days, late in the race at Sebring, back before that track, for television coverage, started to get lit a fair amount, and it was still very, very dark on lots of that track. And late in the race, Jeff Brabham, David's brother, broke the track record, just outright track record at that track late in the race. And I asked him afterwards, I said, how do you do that in the dark? And he said, I think a lot of it is the reference points that give you the sense of speed, and that's what gives you the sense of fear, which gives you the sense of survival. He said, you don't see them. So you're in that zone. You were driving in that tunnel, and you were looking at braking point, turn in, apex, track out. And he said, you're just so zoned. And he said, all of a sudden they told me I just broke the track record. And I went, really?
Yeah, no.
Because I didn't feel like I was really pushing that hard.
It's not uncommon. I mean, the cars really do work well at night, and it's just a question of focus from the driver. I've done a few 24-hour races many years ago, and I always found myself turning the fastest laps of my races in the dark as well. I loved driving in the dark. Some people absolutely love it. Others are not so keen, and some people really don't like it. But it's down to how blessed you are with your eyesight more than anything else, and your general mental acuity.
Absolutely. That headlight's back on again, Chris.
Well, good news for the 17 team. They've got that headlight working, and they think they know why. What the issue has been, guys, is there's a button on the steering wheel that these drivers will use to flash the headlights to show other drivers that they're trying to work their way through, to get their attention and let them know that they're potentially going to pass them. And what the team is thinking is when the drivers have been using that button, that's when that headlight does not come back on. So they've been able to reset the computer system, and they told Nick Tandy, don't use that button anymore. And since he hasn't been, that headlight has stayed on.
Boy, and that's a great development for them with that run they've been having. And while they've been sussing that problem out, he has continued to be able to open up a little bit on Dirk Mueller, that number 56 car, sitting in the second spot right now. The 55 team car, Maxime Martin for BMW, sits third. Fourth is the 62 Ricci Ferrari, Matteo Magliucelli. And fifth is Antonio Garcia, the number 3 CompuWare Corvette. They would like to be farther up, certainly. They'd like to, you always want to end the season and earn a championship with a win, but that's good enough to get them, to get Antonio and Jan Magnussen that driver's championship.
It is indeed. And that Ferrari, we've seen it kind of handicapped by that incident it had early in the race, where it lost a portion of its right rear bumper on that car. And then, of course, the later incident with Olivier Beretta that cost it a left-hand side mirror as well. Here's a problem for Dyson Racing's car number 16.
Yeah, very slow for a minute. Now back.
Tony Burgess driving that car now. It's still running in 5th place overall. He managed to get themselves well ahead now of the PC cars, in which Kyle Marcelli has pulled out a lead over Osvaldo Negri of about 28 seconds. So Kyle Marcelli and Bar One Motorsports absolutely doing a fine job.
Yeah, well, he's got an issue. He's way off the pace right now, and I think we just heard them saying pit this lap. On board here, up and under. Ooh.
Man, turned it around, didn't he? And
Sure
didn't need anything?
He got, boy, talk about getting away with it.
Skillful or what?
Wow.
Or lucky. I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah, that was through turn 12 where he ran wide over there.
That's seriously quick coming down the hill. It's pretty much flat out. Yeah, to loop the car there, particularly a prototype car, and get away with it. That's amazing. Good. Lucky escape there from Tony Burgess. And again, it's good to see the Lola Mazda running consistently in this race.
Johnny leads, Brabham, Marcelli in class, Tandy keeping that run alive, and Spencer Pumpelli in GT Challenge. And you see some of the artwork that can happen on a racing tire by those who know.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Doc? Doc? Goose!
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. Easy acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
We are back at Road Atlanta. The 16th annual Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda, continues toward its conclusion. The conclusion of the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron for the season, and the series itself at what has become an absolutely fascinating race. And here's your LMPC leader. We think that is Kyle Marcelli has been in the pits. He is back out once again and accelerating up the hill. We're getting a report that Brabham in the 0-1 car, they're having some radio issues, so just some communication issues. That can be relatively huge. Now we're on board with the number 3, and while we were in break, they had a bit of a moment, Jeremy.
Indeed, here, side by side with one of the...
It's a 06, I believe.
I think it is 06, isn't it? Was that a battle for position? No, it wasn't. I think Patrick Long was a lap down. I'm not quite sure what Antonio Garcia thought he was trying to do there by going around and outside of Patrick Long.
No, he tried to go down the inside and then forgot that Patrick may have managed to stay put around the outside there.
Yeah, kind of
the exit, yeah.
Just one of those things between those two. But I think Garcia being a bit unnecessarily aggressive there. He doesn't need to be that aggressive. 5th place is just fine. It cost him about 20 seconds, 17 seconds or so with that spin, and he's now about half a minute behind number 62 car.
No problems here, Bob. Just going to be a routine stop. Oswaldo Negri getting out, Sean Rahal getting behind the wheel. It looks like he's probably going to finish the day. This young driver having just a great run in this car. This team, new to this car this weekend, new here at Petit. So really an incredible run by this team. Look, walking around and looking at this car, everything looks great on it. A little bit of damage at the right rear corner. What they call a wedge of cheese, which is an aerodynamic device behind the right rear wheel, is missing. Other than that, the car looks like it's in great shape.
Keep it clean, execute well, drivers with good pace. That's how you do it in an endurance race.
Yeah, except it's not clean, is it? With that, it'll cost him a little bit of pace there, certainly for Sean Rahal here. But what a job he has done. Ozzie Negri, he was about a half a minute behind Carl Marcelli and Callum Brake before this round of pit stops. So we'll see now where Sean Rahal resumes on a fresh set of Continental tyres, right, and whether he can track down Carl Marcelli in the remaining portion of this race. I think that both of these two will have to make one more pit stop before the end of the race. So this is going to be a battle very much to the end in PC. And as you can see there, as the car goes over the top of the hill, the right-hand side cheese wedge, that kind of bumper, if you like, on the car is missing. But as long as one of them is working, in Europe that would be a problem. Over here in the American Le Mans Series, as long as one of them is working okay, one of those lights is working, you're okay to carry on. And Sean Rahal there, this is pretty sure it's the first time he's ever driven at night on a road course. He's done a lot of circle track racing in Legends cars, in particular in late model sportsmen as well. Done a lot of night racing on the ovals, but not on a road course.
Yeah, that's a little different story, isn't it? On those ovals, they are well lit, and here you're actually
some of them.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and that car, it has that cheese wedge meshing, but of course, compared to some of the other cars that are out there on track, it's not in terrible shape at all. We're back on board with the number 3 briefly, and now we go down into the pits. Level 5 is in and making their stop. This is the 552 car. Johnny Kane bringing it in.
Yeah, I think he will most likely hand over that car probably to Guy Cosmo to finish the race.
And out he accelerates. Their stop now complete. And it's still showing Johnny Kane in the car.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's a long stint then for Johnny, because
boy, it sure is.
He got aboard that car at...
Nope, now it clicks over to Guy Cosmo. Yeah. So Cosmo it is.
Yeah, it's 3 hours that Johnny Kane has been driving that car. And has done a fine job, Northern Irishman. And he now hands it over to Guy Cosmo to bring that car home to the finish line.
Next time by, we'll be completing 340 of 394 laps.
To go, certainly more than an hour certainly to the end of this race, so pretty much everybody will have to make at least one more pit stop, and actually quite a few people probably have to make 2. The guys are coming in around about this time, and over the last 10 to 15 minutes should be able to reach the end with just one more pit stop after this one.
In LMP2, in LMP2, Brabham over Franchitti, Cosmo in 3rd. That is Extreme Street Motorsports, level 5 in LMP Challenge. Cal Marcelli for bar 1, Sean Rahal for 8-star 1 and 2. That's 6th and 7th overall. And then we go to GT. It is still Nick Tandy and the Falcon Tire number 17 leading over Dirk Mueller in the 56 BMW Z4 GTE. The team BMW, the number 55, Maxime Martin sits in 3rd. Matteo Magliuccelli, the 62 Risi Ferrari in 4th, and Antonio Garcia, spin and all, still is right there in that 3rd spot. And then we take a look at what's unfolding in GT Challenge. It is still the 45 Lizards car of Spencer Pompelli over the 22 Alex Job WeatherTech car of Jerome Bleekemolen, and Damian Faulkner continues to hold down 3rd. Jan Halen now, that Hertz JDX car on the same lap, quite a bit back, but on the same lap. But boy, look at the gap from Jerome Bleekemolen to Damian Faulkner, 3 seconds.
Yeah, but the gap between Pumpelly and Bleekemolen, that's gone out. It was 10 seconds. That's gone up to 17 seconds. So it's once again Spencer Pumpelly, the local guy here from Suwanee, Georgia. He's pulling out an advantage in the lead now for Flying Lizard Motorsports in car number 45. On board here again with Marino Franchitti, and he's going past one of the PC cars. I think that was the number 9 car, Bruno Junqueira. So they've repaired the gearbox problem with that car. It spent a lot of time behind the wall. And,
it came out. Duncan Endy drove it for a while. Now they've turned it back over to Bruno. Boy, I'll tell you, I mean, that car.
That's Gustavo Menez has driven that car?
I'm not sure if I've seen him in that. But, I mean, they were a second quick in qualifying and then got moved to the back because they didn't quite pass post-race tech. But a car that certainly, from the get-go, one would have thought it was going to be a serious player here. And then, I mean, it's had very fast runs as the season has progressed. But it has just been absolutely snake bit today, for lack of a better term. Nothing really going right. And having one of those mechanical problems and fairly bulletproof cars, that will frustrate you, that's for sure.
Yeah, and after the round of pit stops for the PC contenders, Carlo Marcelli has regained the lead in PC, and I think he leads Sean Rahal by the better part of a minute, I think. Wait till he comes across the line. Carlo Marcelli has completed his 327th lap. Tony Burgess is back out there now in the 16 car after a lengthy pit stop for Dyson Racing, and he's now in between the two PC contenders, and he's 32 seconds behind Kyle Marcelli. We'll wait for Sean Rahal to come on across the line. It should be another 15 seconds or so. Now there he is now, 48.6 seconds, the difference in PC between the number 8 car and the number 25.
Right now, just really watching that 01 Extreme Speed Motorsports Patron HPD ARX 03B. It's lots of letters and numbers, obviously, but that is the designation for that Honda Performance Developments chassis in the P2 category that David Brabham is working on. And last lap, I mean, he and Marino Franchitti really lap times averaged out pretty similar. One lap David will pull out a couple or 3/10. The next lap Marino will take it right back again. The margin has been relatively steady for a while now at about 3 seconds.
It has, and for sure now for the 551 car, Marino Franchitti, they're just the team is more than content with second place. That's all they need to win the championship. That's the number one goal this weekend.
6 laps to go.
6 laps to go before a scheduled pit stop. That is the David Brabham car. Last in on lap 308. It's about 7:15. So yeah, that's about right. They can do about 45 minutes on a tank of fuel around this track.
On board now with Marino Franchitti. Again, we had heard reports that there may be some radio communication issues to Brabham. We heard that fairly clearly. That doesn't necessarily mean that he has. And then there's the other scenario where he may have heard it very clearly, but he can't respond. So nonetheless, if he heard it, he'll be in 6 laps.
Yeah, the battle in GT. It's still Nick Tandy who leads there in that number 17 Falcon Tires Porsche by about 5 seconds over Dirk Mueller in car number 56, the first of the 2 BMWs. His teammate Maxime Martin in car number 55. He's another 13 seconds back, and then a whole minute behind him is Matteo Malicelli in the 4th place Racing Competizione Ferrari, car number 62.
3rd place, by the way.
Sorry, just finished that thought. Sure. Nick Tandy should be on the pit lane probably within the next 5 minutes or so.
All right, and Tom Kimber-Smith currently runs 3rd in LMP Challenge in the 05 Corrado Sport car, but he is down a couple of laps, at least a lap, to Marcelli and Sean Rahal at this point, but he's been running some very quick laps, although that last lap he really lost a ton of time, and we just saw that big wiggle that he had, and that's that momentum loss, and he got caught in some traffic as well. But on a clear track, he's been running quickly. He's just down a lap.
Tom Kimber-Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a couple of laps behind there. Yep. You're right, and they lost some time early on that car. They had I think 3 drive-through penalties, didn't they, for Speedy on the pit lane. But the cars certainly run super reliably. But and we've still got a battle going on here for the teams championship in particular, well, and the drivers championship in PC. coming in here. Core Autosport and PR1 were tied on points. Bar 1 were 7 points back. So if Core Autosport can finish in 3rd place and Bar 1 wins, then they will be what's that differential? From first to third is 7 points, and that's exactly what the margin was between first and second, so they would be tied on points again, and remarkably, as that happened a couple of years ago for Core Autosport, they were tied on team points. But if the Bar 1 team can win, that will mean they have 3 wins to 2 of Core Autosport, and that will be the tiebreaker.
Wow, that would be unbelievable. Now, Gouache came in with an 11-point lead. That car right now sits in 5th.
Yeah, which is not enough.
Not enough. Yeah, that's tough, and I don't know that they're going to be able to here. They need to see 5th, 4th in that class is the number 7 Bar 1 car, and that car right now is, well,
8 laps ahead.
8 laps ahead, so some magic has to happen before.
No, some dramas have to happen.
Well, better put, yeah, drama.
But in the meantime, the number 12 car, Rebellion Racing, Neil Jarni at the back of the wheel of that car now. He took over at the last pit stop, which was almost an hour ago now. He took over that wheel of the number 12 car from Nick Heidfeld. He is once again reeling off consistent laps here, just taking it easy. That was a slow lap actually, 124 for Neil Jarni. Not sure what happened with there. That's a lot slower than he has been going. It's curious. But he's completed now 344 laps, so 50 laps to go until the end of the race. And with an hour and a half, a little bit more than that, under the curfew of 10 hours here, we should be well inside that at the pace they're running right now in these pretty ideal conditions, quite frankly. Battle in P2 though, that's still ongoing. David Brabham, that lead has margin has come down again. Marino Franchitti pretty much on his tail, 1st and 2nd in P2.
Yeah, this is just getting curiouser and curiouser on some levels here. That's fun to watch, and that's of course why we do this, to get out there and see how all of this drama does unfold at this point. And overall, Neil Jarni really has that Rebellion team. They had that first big miscue when Johnny, completely unsighted, came up and clocked the number 52 car as it was coming out of the pits as he was trying to pass the Delta Wing. But that aside, and they got away with one there. They had some damage, but it wasn't huge. And that aside, they really have since then just put on an absolute clinic here today. Of course, they have had some of the contenders, notably Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, have their issue. And the Dyson car is down a few laps and the Delta Wing is out. They really, though, have done a great job. And, of course, they're going to finish this race and immediately try and pop online somewhere and find out what's unfolding across the Pacific in Japan, where the World Endurance Championship is running, and their sister car will be racing.
Yeah, and again, they've had overnight race there in Fuji, surprise, surprise. So just heard from John Hindhoff. We missed you, John. He's done all of the Petit Le Mans races up until now. He couldn't make it to this event, and I know he wants to say a very warm welcome to everybody here. I know he's listening on the internet, so thanks for joining us, John. Boy, we miss you here because you've been a huge part of this series over the years. I know how much you wanted to get here, and I know you worked very, very hard to try and make that happen. Unfortunately, prior commitments and also some various clashes here in the TV side of things, but I know you're here in spirit, and we're hoping that you have a good fun race out there in Japan, which will be pretty much following our race here at Petit Le Mans, Greg.
Absolutely. I hope that one goes very well for you, John. And you've been, as Jeremy said, a huge part of the American Le Mans series for so many years. And I know you would have loved to have been here at this finale for the championship. And we know you are, as Jeremy said.
In spirit.
Oh, absolutely. And as John would say, this has been a cracking race.
It has indeed. And just looking again at the PC battle there, Carl Marcelli has come across the line to complete his 333rd lap. And consistently since that last round of pit stops, Sean Rahal has been reeling him in just little by little, not going substantially quicker. Last time around he was only a tenth and a half faster, but several other laps he's been 3 or 4 or 5 tenths quicker as Sean Rahal. The gap between those
this last time he sure was. Look at that time he just threw down, a 16.9.
Yeah.
So yeah, On a clear track, Sean Rahal is getting it done. It's just it's a matter of, is there enough time at this point?
Yeah, the gap between them has been pretty constant. When it came out of the pits, it was about 48 seconds between the first and second place cars, but that was as Sean Rahal's getting his car up to speed on those fresh tyres.
Right.
So the gap went out a little bit after that, and it's about the same now, about 49 seconds between first and second place cars in P2. And that, of course, has massive implications for the championship, both in the drivers and the teams, because the number 8 car, Kyle Marcelli, is in the catbird seat right now, and he needs to keep that position until the end of the race. But we've still got plenty of time to go.
Oh boy! And
there will be one more round of pit stops for these PC contenders as well.
You know, something that is very impressive to me about what David Brabham is doing, one, just that he hasn't really driven since Sebring, and comes out and in fairly short order, by the time qualifying comes around, puts in a lap that was the second quickest in the class, ended up being good enough for pole when the lap of Briscoe was taken away for causing the red flag, and he was only, just a wink behind at that point. But now he has been in this car and has put in some long stints, and again, you don't drive for a long time, you lose those loads. The body starts to get less accustomed to those G loads and the like, and he's been in this car now twice for very long stints and is just flying. Well, I'll tell you, that says something about that man.
Yeah, turning consistent laps here, 1 minute 15.4 last time. That's about a second and a half off the best time set in that car by Anthony Lazzaro back on lap 104. So David's certainly doing a fine job, and no, he hasn't been driving much in terms of race cars, but as he comes now into the pit lane, the two leaders in P2 absolutely in together, the 01 car just ahead of the 551.
And you can see those brakes glowing, so they carry at max speed underneath that bridge at turn 11 and then just dynamite those brakes coming in here. And Chris Neville is waiting down in the Extreme Speed Motorsports Tequila Patron pits for one David Brabham. Chris?
Well, David Brabham in for the last half an hour. He's been having communication issues in the car. What it is, it's the connector on his helmet. We can see the crew member taping that connector right now. It hasn't been the one on the dash. So as he's been going around the racetrack trying to keep Marino Franchitti behind him, he's been having to reach over with his left hand and unplug and plug that connector in and keep this car out front. And when he was talking to the team, every time he did have communication, he was checking in, trying to figure out how many laps until he had to come back to pit lane. But that connector came loose at least 3 different times. Kelly?
At the 551, we've seen a driver change, so after that great battle between Marino Franchitti and David Brabham, it will now be a fresh Ryan Briscoe, the open wheel star, who will take the reins of the 551 as they complete this tire change. It will be a race out of pit road. They're off the blocks. They can't get it refired. Oh, crushing. They couldn't get it refired. Ryan Briscoe gets beat out by the 01.
And that was a good old-fashioned
heart-in-the-throat moment.
Really was a great old battle there in the pit lane, though, and it looked like it was a great stop by level 5, but just a crucial second or two to get that engine refired, and the 01 car beats him out. So David Brabham wins that little battle, and ESM wins that little battle. But it's been a tremendous battle all the way through between these teams, and good to see them actually having to go head-to-head in the pit lane as well. That's kind of cool.
Absolutely, and of course Ryan Briscoe now gets on board and hasn't driven for a while. It's now dark. I think they did tires, so I mean he's really got to get a feel for this thing, but he's got to do it in a hurry at this stage and be able to stay, just keep him in line here. And of course there is our leader in GT Challenge, and they are in, and I believe Kelly Stavis has made it down there.
It's the GTC leading Flying Lizards Motorsports car in. Spencer Pumpelly just finishing up his pit stop. Perhaps wasn't the smoothest of stops, but he did get some fresh Michelin tires to go do battle.
And well, that's, he got in, got out, got the tires. Now the question is it was fairly close by the time he came into the pits. Jerome Bleekenmolen had whittled that margin down to about 15 seconds, and so we'll see just where that sits right now. Of course, that could have been affected by the pin-in speeds and the whole thing.
Indeed, it was. The gap between those two was out around a bit over 20 seconds. So as the 45 car slowed down to come into pit lane and went across his timing line, you're right. That's what it shows as 15 seconds came across here. But yeah, fresh set of Yokohama shoes then on the number 45 car, and Spencer Pumpelly now will try and bring that car home. Here is the second place car of Jerome Bleekenmolen. Just 1 lap later, he brings the Alex Jobe Racing entry onto pit lane.
And working its way in. I think Chris Neville has wandered down to be able to call this stop for us, tell us what's unfolding in the Alex Job WeatherTech Porsche pit. Chris?
Yeah, Calvin, they're going to leave the same bullet in the gun. Jerome Bleekmolen going to finish out this race. And like I said earlier, this team came back from 2 laps down when they had that splitter damage. Going to do 4 new Yokohama tires on here, fill this car up. Just checked in with Alex Job. He said, this is our final stop, and the car is great. So it is going to be a sprint to the finish.
And they just peeled off one of those full windshield strips. It's basically they just do these layers on the windshield, and they just, you know, it gets into this part of the night. The windshield's got debris on it. It's got chips and the like, and they just peeled that sheet off, and it is crystal clear for Jerome Bleekmolen now to bring this car to the finish.
Indeed so, and it's just like a helmet to tear off.
Yeah. Oh, problem though.
Battery.
Unbelievable. You could see as soon as they dropped him down off the jacks inside the car, Jerome.
He wouldn't fire up, would it?
No, it just started gesturing like crazy. Oh, unbelievable.
They do have a healthy lead in the Drivers' Championship, Bleekemolen and Cooper McNeil. But in the Teams Championship, they trail by 2 points coming into this weekend to the Flying Lizard team.
Yep.
And it's the Flying Lizard team completed its final pit stop and out in front.
Oh, this is unbelievable drama unfolding here for this team. As you said, they're in pretty good shape in terms of that Drivers' Championship. They'd have to have something massive happen here, but let's hope this isn't it.
Yeah, they need to finish, need to score.
All right, Chris Neville has gone back to the WeatherTech AJR team. Chris?
Well, Bob, just checked in with Alex Job. He says it is a battery issue as they're trying to get this car started. I can hear the starter turning in there. Oh, Jerome Bleekmolen gets the car fired up. But boy, did they lose precious time here.
Yeah, I think that's got any hopes of a win here for Alex Job Racing down the toilet. But still, there's an awful lot to play for. They just need to 7th place finish is all they need to get in the class, and they're well within that. They've got 15 laps over the 7th place car right now.
Yeah, they're now sitting in the 4th position right now after that very problematic stop. Damian Faulkner in the number 66 Racers Group, Port Lavaca Auto Group. Porsche has assumed the lead after Spencer Pompelli's stop, and that margin about 37.5 seconds right now. Then Jan Halen sits 3rd in the JDX Hertz, number 11 at this point. And then, of course, you've got the issue for actually now Bleekemolen shows as 5th as Andy Lally has come through, and Andy Lally running in 4th and on the lead lap.
Yeah, he is, because he hasn't made a pit stop lately in that number 27 car, nor indeed I think has Damian Faulkner.
Right.
No, he hasn't in the number 66 car for TRG, the Port Lavaca entry that he shares season long with Ben Keating and also Madison Snow. No, not Madison Snow. You driving that car today? It's late, isn't it?
Oh, with in the number 66 machine? That's Chris Craig. Yeah, exactly. Well, I had to look too.
A long day.
And yes, it has. In GT, Nick Tandy continues to lead, but that margin now is down to about 4 seconds over Dirk Mueller. Dirk Mueller has been running last few laps about a second quicker than Tandy has at this point. Martin in the team number 55 BMW to Mueller's 56 sits 3rd. Matteo Malicelli is 4th. And Garcia in the number 3 CompuWare Corvette is still in the 5th spot. And Jonathan Bomarito now is he is in 6th spot. He's on the same lap as Antonio Garcia, and he's running laps very quickly, Bomarito is, and is slowly trimming that margin. Here's Jan Halen in the JDX Hertz GTC Porsche, currently shown in 3rd. Oh, and here we go, the number 56, Dirk Mueller, bringing his BMW down into pit lane. Look at that. Just on that rev limiter, you see those spikes of flame coming out the back. Those exhaust ports just glowing red. And boy, this is a nervous time here, obviously. He sits, as we said, in the 2nd spot. And with him being 2nd, that gives the number 5 car even a little bit more breathing room, obviously, at this point. But these guys, they are going to go after it. They will not give up. And he had really made up some time on Tandy here.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Nick Tandy made a pit stop lately in the car number 17, but it's got to be due any minute now.
You would think, absolutely. Mueller down and away. Boy, what a great shot that is. Look at all of the traffic outside of the track, but of course there's just such a great crowd here still watching this race come down into its final hour and 19 minutes or less.
The 17 car now is onto pit lane, our GT leader.
All right, here we go. Nick Tandy has brought it in. The Falcon Tires Porsche in from the lead, Chris.
And our GT leader is going to start cycling through the Falcon Porsche into pit lane here. They're going to do their final stop. Tires, fuel, just checked in with Brian Sellers. Nick Tandy going to stay behind the wheel. Brian said at nighttime, this car just doesn't have the balance that it does during the warmer conditions. Right now, about 55 degrees out here. Track temp has gone down to the low 60s. So it's going to take a little bit longer for these teams to try and get these tires up to temp on these out laps.
You might say it's not been handling as well in the dark, but I tell you what, Nick Tandy's been doing a fabulous job. He's been super consistent. He's maintained an advantage of 4 or 5 seconds over the BMW, and we know how fast the BMWs are.
And did you see, well, first let's get down to Kelly because Corvette's in.
This is the championship leading GT car, the number 3 Corvette. Antonio Garcia looks like will stay behind for this last stint here. They needed 7th or better coming into this race to clinch the championship. They're running 5th when they came in here for this pit stop, so they won't finish on quite the high note they had hoped for. But everything so far going to plan for this team that knew that championship would come first. They've had some incredible pit stops all day. Now they move to put on those fresh Michelin tires. We'll see if this is going to be the last stop for the 3 Corvette. Another clean one.
Boy, it's amazing, isn't it, just how quick, as soon as they can start that engine and go, how quick those two were able. That's what I was going to say about Tandy. I mean, that car, they finished that change, and that thing sprung to life, and as you heard the engine note, it was on its way, and same thing there for Antonio Garcia. And, you know, that pit exit, we've seen cars drop down off the Jackson and sit there for 2 seconds, even with the engine running, as they just, for some reason, struggle to be able to get out. Not those 2 stops.
No, that's right. I'm just trying to figure out how long there is should be to go in this race. So 38 laps to go, and it'll be it's a bit more than an hour, I guess, to the end of the race. I'll figure that out. I'll do that in a minute. But yes, Neil Jarni will be due in for a pit stop. Really?
I would think so.
Has he been in lately? You've seen him in lately?
No, I have not either.
No, he must have been in, I think, because otherwise he'd be out of fuel by now. In the PC battle, we talked about that a little while ago. Carl Marcelli, his advantage now over Sean Rahal at about a minute. So Carl Marcelli has got the hammer down there, and he's extended that gap just a little bit over Sean Rahal in car number 25. It's still been a great run by the 8-Star Motorsports team, and particularly young Sean Rahal there in his very first American Le Mans Series start.
Yeah, he really has acquitted himself well. Not that that's a huge surprise by any stretch from what we've seen from him, certainly over the course of a number of seasons. I mean, obviously he had the great season in the Cooper Tire Prototype Lights Championship this year, but we've seen him drive in some open wheel stuff, and whatever he's driven in, he has always been right at the sharp end of things.
Yeah, we've got about 45 minutes to go, haven't we? So in this race, you know, no problem for people to meet the GT cars to make it to the end from here, and the P2 leaders. We saw them a little while ago. We heard it was their last stop. Wasn't sure about that. To see what sort of a pace Neil Jarni can turn out. He's not going very fast at all. His turn last time around was a 1:18. We've seen a whole bunch of 16s, 17s, 18s. So he's just, you know, trying to steer clear of the trouble of bringing the car home. And it's kind of difficult now in this sort of situation for Neil Jarni, because he's not really racing anybody other than himself. He's just got to make sure he brings this car home to the finish. And, you know, to keep your concentration after having pushed so hard in the early stages is sometimes not particularly easy, particularly in these sort of conditions.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's many times when you hear drivers talk about, I start to back off just a little bit, and then that's when the mistakes start to come. and you just, it's better sometimes to just drive in that zone and the like. But that doesn't mean, I mean, you can still be, very, very effective in that zone a little bit. And you're just a little bit more cautious dealing with other cars because obviously when you are sharp on there and you come up on traffic, I mean, you're going to be pretty attuned at that stage. And again, this is also, I think, a bittersweet moment for Neil Johnny. He's had a great run with this Rebellion team. They have taken on some Goliaths and have acquitted themselves very, very well. He has certainly proven himself with his connection in this team to be able to get that job driving the new Porsche LMP1 car. I think he's very connected to this team, and this is his last race with them.
Yeah, very much so. So, he wants to make sure that he ended on a high note, as does everybody in this event, but particularly drivers like that.
361 of 394 laps now complete. We're walking 361, 360 complete at this stage.
David Brabham just turned at previous lap, I think it was a 1:39, which is almost as quick as that car has gone. It's within a few thousandths of a second, actually. The best lap turned earlier in the race by Anthony Lazzaro. 13.9 there for David Brabham in second place overall. He's got about a 3-second margin over the 551, so David Brabham certainly doing all he can do for Extreme Speed Motorsports, trying to wrest away that championship from level 5. But
boy, that shows you just what traffic can do here. He turns a 13.9, next lap a 17.8 when he gets in traffic. I mean, it just, as they say, traffic giveth, traffic taketh away.
And that was radio call there to Maxime Martin, who's leading now in GT with the pit stop of the number 17 Porsche. And Maxime Martin is a box pit next time around. So that will be the final scheduled pit stop for car number 55. We will give up the lead to Matteo Malucelli in the Ferrari, but the Ferrari 2 will be due one more pit stop.
Again, that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds, of course. Tandy already done, Mueller already done, and Garcia having done their stops. GT Challenge, Faulkner continues to lead, but has not stopped yet, and he is now shown in pit lane. So that 66 GT Challenge leading car making that crucial stop.
Out one more, stay out one more, stay out one more.
Oh boy, that was interesting. They were telling that car come in.
Don't know why the 01 car would be coming in now. It's only 15 minutes ago it made its last pit stop. I guess it's just taken a splash of fuel now. That's what I was taking. We heard it was going to be their last pit stop. I didn't think it was, because I don't think, unless there's some sort of a problem, unless there's some sort of a slowing in the race pace, I don't think it would have been able to stretch the fuel to the limit. So they've elected now to come in and make that stop earlier on. But clearly now there's a problem getting that 01 car refired.
Yeah.
A gap of several seconds when he was given the signal to go before David Brabham finally fired up the car and left the pit lane.
Yep, managed to get it started and head back out. But yeah, it was interesting. When we were listening to the radio communication for the 55 BMW, and they were telling him, pit this lap, pit this lap, pit this lap. And as he comes up and into that turn 11, up and under the bridge, he starts moving to the right to make that pit entry. All of a sudden they said, stay out for another lap. And boy, he had to make a pretty quick adjustment there, and did so very, very aptly, of course. But well, I'll tell you, that's a
Plan B.
Yeah, exactly. Whoops.
Only kidding. And predictably, the 551 car follows the 01 car come into the pits now. It too now will take on a splash of fuel to enable it to get to the end of the race. So they're going to give up the second position now, briefly, to Guy Cosmo.
And remember that delay Brab's had restarting. That could be key, Kelly.
Well, level 5 not trying anything tricky. They've just been following the 01's move every step of the way. So the 01 came in for a pit. They'll come in the next lap. It's Ryan Briscoe obviously staying behind the wheel while he gets this final fill up of fuel. But again, a bit of a hesitation before it gets refired. The 551 is out. We'll have to see where he comes back out on track.
I think there was a good bit less of a hesitation though for the 551, and I don't think I think he's going to beat David Brabham out of the pits. Yeah, he is quite comfortably, I think. No sign there of Briscoe going to. Here comes Briscoe now into turn 3. So he's got a handy lead. Of course, neither of them changed tires.
Right. And the number 55 is in, Jamie.
And Maxime Martin will stay behind the wheel of the car. The team has built up this trust with him over the course of the season. They've decided they're going to put the trust in him to finish out this race. It's a fantastic pit stop for the number 55 Ford Mule. He's good to the end.
That certainly was. That was a superb stop. And yeah, Maxime Martin, I mean, you've got drivers like Uwe Elton and Jörg Mueller, and they put their trust in this young Belgian driver. And, you know, he has been impressive this year with poles and the like. And so he is given the nod, bring it home, and wrap up your rookie season on track. That is a great compliment and one well earned, I think.
Indeed so. He had his first pole last time out, didn't he, at VIR. Had a win this season as well, Maxime Martin. He's been stellar, I think, this season in American Le Mans.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much unknown over here, very much from a racing family in Belgium. Both his father and his uncle very, very well known in the 80s in touring car races in Japan, sedan racing in Europe, and Maxime very much carrying on the family tradition there. Here's our new race leader now in GT. It is once again the Risi Competizione Ferrari, but right on cue, that car now comes in for its final pit stop. Amalicelli will give up the lead once more, and I believe it will be Nick Tandy who will retake the lead in the class. And looking now, last time around though, Nick Tandy was only a couple of seconds ahead of Dirk Mueller.
Boy, this is going to be really fun as we get down into the final few on this one. The Ferrari is in, Chris.
And Matteo Melicelli, he's going to stay behind the wheel. This is his very first Petit Le Mans. Dorsey, you were talking about going with soft tires. Indeed, that's what the team is doing. They went with medium compound on the last stop. They realized that they just don't get the grip right now that they want. And talking with Rick Mayer, the team engineer, he said the balance just hasn't been that great as the temperature's been cooling down. So they're going to go soft tires and also an air pressure change on this stop.
Again, that air pressure change can affect the spring rate. It can affect how the car, how the tire flexes, how it produces grip. So these engineers and the tire technicians really looking everything over. And there is your leader in LMP Challenge, Cal Marcellian, for his last stop.
Yeah, and interesting to me that the 62 car elected not to try and gamble a little bit, maybe keep him out on these tires and run him to the end. That would have saved quite a few seconds there, and potentially perhaps have got that car back into contention to win this class. But clearly the tire wear on those Michelins isn't sufficiently good to be able to double stint them.
Yeah, especially that apparently that compound tire. They said it's too slow too, and they needed to find some speed somewhere. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how things suss up. But Nick Tandy now shown back at the lead with Dirk Mueller in second. And here are all 5 of our class leaders. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us.
Everything we ever thought of. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride. Whose idea was this? Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Power is hypnotic. We're mesmerized by it, spellbound by it. In its raw form, it is just unharnessed energy, but in the hands of those who understand it, revere it, and know how to bridle it, it can become one of the strongest gravitational forces in the whole universe. So why are we drawn to power? Because we can't stop it.
Rated E for everyone.
We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta here at ALMS.com. We are going to take you now all the way to the conclusion of the 16th annual running of the Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda, and to the conclusion of the 2013 American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron season, and of course to the conclusion of the series itself, as it will next year of course have been blended into the new Tudor United Sports Car Championship, and that is an amazing shot. You see the lights on the marshal stations where the drivers want to be able to see those marshals for information, all the lights on the infield, and for the last time our overall and P1 leader, the number 12 Rebellion timepieces Toyota Lola, down into the pit lane. Neil Yanni coming in for his final stop. By the way, in GT, it is Nick Tandy back in the lead, but Dirk Mueller is 1.6 seconds adrift. Exceptionally close in that GT category. That's what GT racing is all about. The Lola is in. And taking that windshield strip off, let's get down to Chris Neville.
No real reason to hurry. They've got multiple laps on the lead here. They're going to take a look at the car. They're flashing a light in a lot of the different vents, making sure that there's no blockages, whether it's radiator or brake ducts. They're also taking a look at the little tape on the front of the cars. We saw that bodywork starting to come loose early on in this race, but everything looking good there. Going to do 4 Michelin tires. Fuel already done, and Neil Yanni will go back out and hopefully get the win here tonight.
Well, this Rebellion team split their program. They've been focusing 2 cars in the World Endurance Championship.
Traffic and cold tires, cold tires.
But they won this race last year. They split their program, sent 1 car to the World Endurance Championship, and sent what many would consider perhaps their A-team back here to this extremely prestigious event to defend their win from a year ago. And boy, they have done a superb job of that today. I alluded to how close that margin was in GT. Nick Tandy driving, of course, that Falcon Tire Porsche, and we are on board right now with Dirk Mueller, and you can see those taillights up in front. That's Tandy. That's your margin in GT.
Yeah, not very much, is it? With 8 hours and 57 minutes ticking away here, and the gap between the two of them, well, just barely over a second. Very much this race is not over. This will go all the way to the checkered flag, and we heard Brian Sellers say that the Falcon Tires car maybe lost a little bit of performance toward the end of its stint, but you can be sure now that Nick Tandy is not going to leave anything on the table at all. He is going to push as hard as he can.
Keep pushing him there, babe.
Yeah, keep pushing him, babe.
That's what they're telling. Yeah, try and get him to make the mistake. Yep, that's Bobby. Exactly, that is Bobby Rahal. And boy, I'll tell you, Dirk Mueller in that last lap took 4/10 off. The margin is down to 7/10 of a second, and it's less now. He is within 2 car lengths of that Porsche.
Yeah, these BMWs have been so strong this season. The debut season for the BMW Z4 GTE, it's been a kind of a revolutionary car in some ways. It required all sorts of waivers to be part of it, but it's been a very competitive proposition, and Chris Neville can tell us more.
Calvin, you were wondering about the tires on the 17. Definitely soft tires on that car, but right before that pit stop, I talked to Brian Sellers about that. He said this car just doesn't really like the cold night weather, these temperatures at night. So even though they've got those soft, sticky tires, it's not as fast as it was earlier in the day. He also said early in the stint, that car pretty quick, but once you get past the halfway mark on the tires and the fuel, the balance just starts to fall off.
But I'll tell you, Chris, the one thing you did see there was that narrow stance of that 2010 car. Once they got out of turn 7, he was able to gap that BMW just a little bit in that long run, and that could play handily in if this is close near the end. And if he can continue to get that good run out of 17, he might have enough in hand that he could at least continue to lead across the stripe when this one ends. But you know, Dirk Mueller's going to try and make that point moot by handling him a lot earlier than that.
Yeah, it's a tremendous contest between these two cars, the BMW and the Porsche.
Look at Dirk trying to rattle him now, flashing the lights.
I think you're going to rattle Nick Tandy. He doesn't have as much time in these sort of cars as does Dirk Mueller certainly, but he's plenty of experience now. Nick Tandy's done a lot of races around Nürburgring, at Le Mans, and everywhere else in Europe as well. So lots of night racing experience. He's a veteran campaigner at this stage in his career, and he's doing a fine job for the Falcon team here now. He's got a prototype car in between the two of them coming onto the back straightaway, and Nick Tandy is just kind of reeling off the laps there. I think he's, like the BMW, he doesn't want to push too hard and overwork those tires early in the stint. There's still 23 laps to go, so it's a bit over half an hour to go in this race, and so he's got to conserve just a little bit. Not to run those tires off the car and leave himself a sitting duck in the late stages. But it's a great battle between these two, and it's interesting to see how Maxime Martin, he's fallen quite a way back there in third place in the class now. He wasn't too far back. He is now half a minute behind the two leaders in GT, and it's Matteo Malicelli who's about another similar margin back in fourth place in the recent Ferrari.
Boy, you can see it's through turn one where Mueller just makes up a lot of ground now. And that would be probably directly related to what Chris was talking about, the balance going off a little bit, and the car not liking it in the cold. And it's in those long, high-speed duration corners where Mueller makes the ground up. Then they get on that long straight, and Tandy able to stretch it. That last lap where that prototype dove underneath Mueller into turn 7, that really hurt his exit out of that turn. That's not going to be the case here unless we have another one that suddenly shows up and blasts through. So this is going to be sort of a real equal launch, and let's see what happens by the time they get down into turn 10. And you can already see it. That Porsche's taillight's just getting a little smaller. Yeah, the Falcon tires really put, and the Porsche engine on the rear end, they're really putting the power down well. It's got great traction off the corners as the Porsche, and that's one of the traits you need. It's pretty important here at Road Atlanta. So a good run there for Nick Tandy. I'm just watching Matteo Malicelli. Actually, that time around he was fairly slow, but up until then he'd been charging along, setting some very, very quick laps. In fact, he set the fastest lap in that car just 3 laps ago, a 1:19.859. That is not quite the fastest lap in the class. That was said earlier by the Viper of Mark Goossens, actually, a little while ago, not too long ago. A 1:19.6 for the number 91 Viper, and a 1:19.8 for the number 93 Viper, which is running in 6th place in the class, a couple of laps down on the leaders. Boy, that time Tandy was able to get around Bleekemolen in between 11 and 12, and Mueller had to ease up a little bit, got caught behind Bleekemolen in that run down through 12. You don't want to try an outside pass at 12 and have it go wrong down there, and that has once again given Tandy a little bit of a margin. Now if he can get this good run out of 7, looks like he did it once again. That's exactly what he needs to be employing right now, and getting those little bits of breaks in traffic. And of course Mueller wants the exact opposite. He wants Tandy to get absolutely parked by somebody and be able to get that big run. Boy, cat and mouse. This is absolutely fascinating by two of the great marks in the history of sports car racing, Porsche and BMW. Yeah, isn't that a fact? It's great to see these two, and two very talented drivers here. One Nick Tandy, who's a bit younger than Dirk Mueller, but both very, very talented. Nick Tandy is 28 years old, from Bedford in the UK. Like many of the drivers, well, pretty much all of these top contenders, he started off in open wheel ranks and then got an opportunity 6 or 7 years ago now to drive in the Porsche Carrera Cup Series, and he'd made the most of that opportunity and has turned it into a factory drive here with Porsche, and he was elected to drive this car with Wolf Hensler and Brian Sellers this weekend. Who, by the way, we just had a shot of along with Derek Mauger up there looking real nervous up in their pit box. Yeah, Dirk Mueller, he's a little bit older. 37 years old is Dirk Mueller, but again, a huge amount of experience in these cars. Won championships before. He knows how to win championships, how to win races. He's chasing his 19th win. He's last time out actually was his 50th podium finish in the American Le Mans Series for Dirk Mueller. He'd love to make it, he's on course now to make it 51, but he really does want that win as well. Working lap 374 of 394. Time on the clock. Again, this is a 10-hour time limit, is at 55 minutes. But 20 laps essentially to run. Boy, this is good stuff. Checking in GT Challenge, Spencer Pompelli right now has the lead in that class, the number 45 Lizard car, and he's got a pretty substantial margin of almost a minute in hand right now over Damian Faulkner in the 66 Racers Group entry, and then the 27 of Andy Lally. However, I think Jamie's got a report for us on Dirk Mueller in the 56 BMW.
And one advantage that number 56 team feels like they have right now is in the balance of their race car. They took some very measured steps over the course of this race to really trim it out and get it ready for these nighttime conditions. Bill Oberlin just told me that the car right now is absolutely perfect. Bobby Rahal on the radio with Dirk telling him, this is it, this is all you, buddy. Go ahead and get it. You're doing a great, great job. You guys talked about how encouraging Bobby is on the radio, and Dirk Mueller is getting that encouragement right now.
Yeah, Bobby Rahal, he's been there and done everything in this sport. He's driven every sort of car imaginable. Won the Indy 500, won IndyCar Championships, raced in Formula 1 back in the 70s, raced in Europe before that in Formula 3 and Formula 2, and a very accomplished team owner as well. He's won multiple championships now, still runs cars in the IndyCar Series and here in the American Le Mans Series. And, you know, it's another championship here. It's an unlikely possibility at this stage because the number 3 Corvette is running there pretty happily, it would appear, in 5th place. That's more than enough for Antonio Garcia and Jan Magnussen to win the GT Championship, even if Dirk Mueller can turn this into a race victory for BMW. But don't tell Dirk Mueller that, because he wants to get that win. There is the Falcon Tires brain trust there. That's Derek Walker in the foreground, Wolf Hensler upper right, and then Brian Sellers in the middle. Those two watching off and see whether Nick Tandy can bring this car home. He's led an awful long way in this race now. They've just done a stellar job, that entire team this weekend. They've been all sorts of trials and tribulations this season, including running this kind of a bastard car. It was a 2010 car that was literally on the showroom floor only a month or so ago. It was pressed into action after the big crash at Baltimore, and the team have really come on strong here. They've done a lot of testing here. They've done 3 full tests here before this race weekend, so they know exactly what to expect from these tires, and they've developed the tires pretty much for this event, and it's paying off. Yeah, a lot of testing here. They know this track intimately, and that certainly can't hurt. By the way, in GT Challenge, Spencer Pompelli, the 45 Lizards car, leads. Remember when this one started, Jerome Bleekemolen and Cooper McNeil coming in here with a handy little lead in the championship, but boy, they're making this thing a lot closer than they wanted it to, sitting back in 5th right now, Jeremy. Wasn't that interesting? They're on board there with the 56 BMW, and there was one of the GTC Porsches was alongside, but all the way down the straight, almost identical top speeds until they get into the braking area, and then the ultra sophistication of the GT car, the BMW, that dives through to take the position and into the chicane.
Drivers left, cars slowed.
In the 6th, oh my, unbelievable here. Damian Faulkner had led at certain points in this one. They've had a great last couple of races, and now right up in the approach to turn 3.
Just lost complete power.
And you hear the call, just lost complete power.
It's not running.
Boy, and normally that, that's a scary place to be sitting. Well, I was going to say, that's right where normally you'd see cars using that little bit of curve to transition in. Right over the crest of the hill there, pretty much blind as you come over, and you know, there's a lot of overtaking amongst multiple classes coming over there. I don't think they've got much option here, the officials, other than to show a full course caution. He's trying to restart it. You see there's some electronics that are working. He's got lights that are flashing and doing things, but the car is not
back on and try to fire it.
Springing to life. They're asking him to reset the electronics, I'm sure. Oh boy, this is a fraught spot for this. Chris?
Just checked in with Kevin Buckler. He told me there's no fire. The car just died. They can't get it restarted. Now this goes back potentially to something earlier in this race when Jerome Bleekemolen got into the back of this car. The team said they started having some computer glitches. They didn't have the top end that they normally would, and the engine seemed to just kind of cut in and out a little bit. Well, that might go back to hours and hours ago in the first 2 hours of this race, and it's coming down to the last 20 laps, guys.
Now that is just unbelievable, and if he isn't able to get that started in a hurry here, I think you're absolutely right, Jeremy. They just can't. There we go. We are full course caution, and there was absolutely no option. They simply could not sit and leave that car out there.
No, absolutely right. That is the 8th caution of the race, and we've got what 16 laps or so to go for the overall race leader Neil Jarni. But what a shame for Damien Faulkner. Boy, the TRG cars, they've had a difficult season. They came back and won these last 2 races, both of them from the pole position. Just brilliant drives, both in qualifying and, of course, in the race by Damien Faulkner, backed up ably by Ben Keating, who had a difficult time also himself during this season. He made some mistakes, particularly in the middle portion of the season, but he drove exemplary stints both at Circuit of the Americas and at VIR, and Damien Faulkner did the rest from there. But this second place, the car was running, no more.
Oh, and you just saw, we've said, for many years now, Damien Faulkner is one of those guys who wears his emotions on his sleeve, and he just pounded the wheel inside that car.
I put reserve on.
Put his hands up onto his helmet.
To see if it was it, but it wasn't.
He was just absolute frustration. He's beside himself inside that car. And, as you said, after those tastes of those 2 great races that they put together, to be in the hunt for a podium here and then have it go away, boy, that is unfortunate, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
379 of 394 done.
This is going to make things interesting now. We've still got battles going on here, but in GTC, I think now we will find that Spencer Pumpelly in the car number 45 for Flying Lizard Motorsports is on a lap by himself. Up into second place will be the number 11 of Jan Halen, and he has Andy Lally all over the back of that car. We'll have to see whether they, as they cycle through, whether they are at the tail end of the lead lap or whether they are 1 lap down. Again, we don't have a vantage point of the track here, so I can't tell until they come past the timing and scoring. But Spencer Pumpelly certainly has a handy lead, and at the very least he's going to have an awful lot of cars between himself and the second and third place cars in GTC. But that battle is going to be very fraught in the final stage of this race. That problem earlier on, a little while ago, for Jerome Blakemole in number 22 car, it's dropped that car back to 4th place in the class in GTC.
Yeah, and obviously he was back to 5th until Faulkner had this problem. Now they did come in here, that 16-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. That 4th is certainly going to be good enough for that. But they were much closer to the sharp end of things until they had that long delay trying to get that car restarted in pit lane. And you can see the look in Jerome's eyes. I mean, he's an experienced driver, has seen a lot unfold, but you could see the look in his eyes. There was just that little bit of, oh boy.
Yeah, indeed. So big disappointment for Jerome, but he's just got enough focus. He's still, the championship is very much within that team's grasp.
Indeed.
So he's just got to bring it home now and just draw upon his experience and his professionalism. And he really is the consummate professional. He's driven everything indeed over the years. Won at Le Mans in P2 cars. He's driven, I could say, everything and won in just about everything as well. So he's just got to bring that car home now. And for Cooper McNeil, that'll be a 2nd straight title in GTC, and yet another one, a 5th one in the ALMS for Alex Jobe Racing.
Absolutely. And who do you think this is going to favor here when we go back to green in that GT battle? It's been half a second the margin for most of this. We've heard that Porsche not really enjoying the cool weather, and as it gets deeper into the stints, it seems to go off. You'd think that maybe this opportunity here to rein things in just a little bit might rejuvenate it, but boy, that BMW has always been really good right off the get-go.
Who do I think it'll favor? I think it'll favor Matteo Maliucelli in car number 62.
Okay, let's throw that one in.
He's going to be fast here, but it's just going to boil down now to how much traffic there is in between Nick Tandy and Dirk Müller, and then of course there's the second of the BMWs, Maxime Martin, and then Matteo Maliucelli. He's towards the end of the train of the cars on the lead lap. So I don't know how many cars there are in between them on the road, but it's the 17 car that leads in GT, followed by the 56 and then the 55, and the 62 car is in 4th place in that class. So you guys out there on the circuit will get a better perspective on that, I'm afraid, than I can.
You just saw the graphic up there, battery tender hard charger. It was narrowed down to 2 cars, both very worthy. The number 17 Falcon Tires Porsche with this great performance it has put on today, and this car, the number 8 Bar 1 Motorsports entry in LMP Challenge. And as remarkable as the run that this Porsche has had, when you consider that there are 2 things that might be happening here. One, this Bar 1 car might win the race after starting from pit lane, and then you look at the odds are very strong here that car with the win might well deliver a championship to Chris Cumming as well. Well, they got the nod, and they are our battery tender hard charger. So congratulations to Bar 1 Motorsports.
Yeah, they really
and look at that look, Brian Sellers. That is that's not weariness, folks. That's worry. Boy, that is intense stuff.
Yeah, it certainly is, and worrying moments. I mean, it's not really made much difference, I don't think. We've seen that the Falcon Tires car seems to get up to speed pretty quickly after caution periods are over. So I don't think it's really, those cars are pretty much nose to tail in any case. So I don't think it's really going to favour one or the other out of those two. Unless the sort of the heat cycle of the tyres has any effect, but I don't think that's going to be the case. More interesting to me is how far Malicelli is back in the order.
Yes.
He's probably quite a long way back. We can't see who's wearing their GT cars, because the safety car.
Look for red. Let's look for red.
Yeah, can't in this high angle. From great shots, aren't there? From
oh, they
overhead.
really are. Some of these are spectacular images, to be sure. Lights on still on that pace car. Yeah, Malicelli shown in 4th, but 17 seconds.
Yeah, so you've got to think he's well towards the tail end.
I would think so.
Of that group. It'll be less this time around because they've packed up somewhat. But yeah, 10 seconds behind, so it's still quite a long way. It's probably 10 or 11 cars back in the train from the leaders in GT.
So we, boy, this is going to be interesting. Now, it was a fairly quick cleanup, obviously, but after a certain amount of time is run, you've got to follow some certain procedures, obviously, with these full course cautions. But hopefully we'll be able to get back to it here. 380 laps of 394 complete, 14 laps to go in the season. And in the 16th annual Petit Le Mans, powered by Mazda. Tandy, Mueller, Martin, Malicelli, all on the same lap in GT. In GT Challenge, Spencer Pumpelly, Jan Halen, and Andy Lally, all on the same lap. Wow. You know what? Boy, that's going to be interesting, because Jan Halen has shown some great speed in some of the races. And Andy Lally, this is home. This guy gets around this track fast.
But yeah, we talked about, we kind of alluded to that when the caution came out. We weren't sure where those other two cars were in relation to the race leader in GTC and the safety car, but they've obviously got the wave around, so they're way at the back of the pack though. So I think Andy Lally and Jan Halen and Andy Lally, they're going to have a hard time catching Spencer, because I think he's going to have a big buffer of cars in between himself in car number 45 and the pursuing numbers 11 and 27. But still, it's going to be a lot of fun, and Spencer Pumpelly certainly can't afford to make any mistakes when we get back to green flag racing. We expect that to be fairly soon. Because I think the number 66 car has been dragged out of the way, and I think it won't be long before we get the indication to go back to racing. We've got 380 laps in the books right now, so 14 laps to go. 13 it will be this time around. Bless you. Are you okay?
Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Just the excitement here, the potential getting to me. You know,
it is fun. And what's happened there in P2? We have the 551 car ahead of the 01. So we didn't see how that happened. That happened presumably shortly before the caution period.
Well, actually didn't when Brabs had that delay getting that car restarted after that stop, and that's when Briscoe jumped him, I think.
I thought he didn't get ahead of him.
No, he did.
Okay,
yeah, because at one point Brabs was 7 some odd seconds behind.
Okay, fine.
So that's okay. That's 1 for you to how many for me here? So
in PC, we still have the 2 cars on the lead lap there. It's still Carl Marcelli who leads in car number 8 for Bar 1 Motorsports. Sean Rahal is a little bit back down the road, but done a brilliant job along himself and Ozzie Negri for 8 Star Motorsports. They're running there in a fine second place. First proper run for this team in this category. And in 3rd place in PC, looking back, is Tom Kimber-Smith, and still there they are. Tom Kimber-Smith in that 05 car for Court Autosport are 3 laps behind the leaders in that class. And with the, we talked about that, they were the tie on points coming into this weekend in PC, Court Autosport and PR1 Matheson Motorsport, so that will be enough for Court to move ahead of Matheson. The question now is if the Bar 1 Motorsports can stay where they are, and if the core car finishes 3rd place, that will be a 7-point swing. That will bring them level on points. That will mean a remarkable come from behind victory in the championship for Bar One Motorsports in the team's title as well. So it's been a great run. They've had 2 wins. They won the last 2 races. They had a problem the one before that, but the 2 podium finishes immediately prior to that as well. So it's been a great season for Bar One Motorsports. And of course, the team owner at Bar One, Brian Alder, he also himself clinched the Cooper Tires Prototype Lights L2 Championship yesterday as well. Nobody has contested a full season in L2 this season, but there were 3 contenders up for the championship coming into this final round, and it was Brian Alder who came away with those honors. So hats off to him.
Yeah, it wasn't an official championship, but he was recognized as the erstwhile champion, I guess would be a way to put it. And I'd like to take a moment here. I have to run out here a couple of laps before the end of this to get over to Victory Circle to wrap things up. But I would just like to say that it's been 15 years of American Le Mans Series action. I've been fortunate to be involved in quite a few of them, and I am absolutely honored right now to have been a part of this right now. We're going to jump in and listen to Chris Neville. He's caught up with a nervous Brian Sellers.
Well, Nick Tandy's going to try and hold on to this GT lead, but Brian, what's it like out there? Last 10 laps to go. Tires have cooled off. All kinds of marbles on the racetrack. What are these last 10 laps going to be like?
You can't really have more difficult conditions than what we have right now. You know, like you said, it's dark. The tires are cool. There's marbles everywhere. Not to mention the fact that we're at the lead of the pack, and now you have to deal with all the headlights coming from behind with all the P cars. So Nick has his work cut out for him, but he's fantastic. He's been great all day. You know, he was fantastic in the wet, got us back to where we are, so it's only fitting that it's in his hands to take it to the end.
Yeah, in the last 15 minutes, I've been watching you and Wolf up on the pit box here, and you guys look like expectant parents.
It's an emotional roller coaster. I mean, he stretches out, they pull him back. He stretches out, they pull him back. It's more stressful sitting here watching than it is being in the car. It's just, you want so badly to end on a high note for everybody, for Falcon, for our guys, for the series, for the fans. So fingers crossed. Unfortunately, with 10 hours, there's still a lot of time left in the race.
Yeah, after almost 1,000 miles, it's going to come down to a couple lap sprint.
Boy, it is amazing, isn't it, just what's unfolded. The next time around, we'll be going green, and they're down in turn 6. To finish what I was saying, I've been very fortunate to have been able to be a part of the announcing in some category here for a lot of years, and it's been an honor. We've had a great crew. Kelly?
And barring any major incident here, it looks like Scott Tucker is poised to collect his 10th American Le Mans Series championship. Talk about the effort of this team to bring you back from a points deficit just a few rounds ago.
Just incredible strategy that's went on. The race isn't over yet. The Extreme team is really tough. Really great competition with them this year. We're fortunate to be in this position right now, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you must be sitting on pins and needles waiting for this restart.
Yeah, this is yeah, let's just see how it goes.
All right, some nervous energy over here at level 5.
Boy, that's racers are superstitious. Well, they're suspicious sometimes too, but they're superstitious, and they just don't want to say anything until it is absolutely finished up, and we're seeing that. Pace and safety vehicles should be down in, and Johnny going to bring him around. Right behind Johnny is Nick Tandy, and the green flag flies. Here he comes, and right behind him is Dirk Mueller. This battle, the closest battle on the track right now, GT, it is on.
It is indeed. They are, and the good news for those two is they're directly behind the race leader, so he's not going to be a drama. He's going to be pulling away, and there's a fair bit of a margin behind them before the other the other prototype cars that Brian Sellers was worried about that might kind of influence the race between these two. So they're going to have at least a lap or two now to settle themselves down, get these tires up to temperature, get themselves back up to full racing speeds before they have to worry too much about looking into their mirrors.
Yeah, and again, you got Maxime Martin in third and Matteo Magliucelli in that Risi Ferrari that has been so fast, sitting back and forth. How quick can they clear the cars that separate them from these two and perhaps come in and join the party and affect the outcome here? Nick Tandy right now, boy, Dirk Mueller is close, but Tandy has been surviving that lap after lap after lap for a long time.
Hasn't he just? And Nick Tandy joined this team at Sebring, came away with a third place finish, so that was his only other start in the American Le Mans Series this season. But Nick has won here before, and so he knows how to do it, and he's going to try and do it again right here.
Oh, and behind them, we've got a couple of the prototypes that are racing it very furiously as well. There is Tandy. There is Mueller. onto the front straight. One of the level 5 prototypes coming up. He's going to get Mueller down into turn 1. This could help Tandy here. Yeah, Mueller just able to breathe out of it, and Tandy now is going to get caught. The PC leader's in it. The P2 second is right there as well. Everybody slices through. Tandy, if he can hang on until he bends it to the right here, they're probably just going to have to park. Whoops. Oh, Tandy has gone wide. He's gathered it back up again, though, and let's see, did he dirty up the tires? Yep, he's dirtied up the tires. He's got a bad run out of 6, and that's exactly what Brian was talking about. All of those headlights, and you get blinded for a second, miss that turn in on that fall away downhill right-hander. You cannot get that car back to the apex. The only thing that's helping Tandy right now is that prototype car that is splitting he and Mueller. Let's go back quickly and revisit it, but I think he just got blinded from reflection here.
Yeah, the problem is he turned in a little bit too soon. It caught a lot of curb there on the right-hand side coming down those S's, and he was kind of looking in his mirrors to see where they were to make sure he wasn't going to get dived on by anybody. And he turned in just a little bit too soon, hit that curb pretty hard, that threw the car sideways, and at that stage his best option was just a straight line, that second part of the S's down at the bottom of the hill. Did a good job to do that, and then maintain his focus and try and carry as much speed as he could up the hill through turn 5. But as you say, it's very difficult with all that dirt on his tires as well. But here is, we're on board here with Dirk Mueller, and I think Nick Tandy was able to hold on to his advantage, and boy, that would be a very scary moment for sure for Nick Tandy.
Yeah, there it is, and Tandy was able to, he had the benefit down into turn 10. The Dyson car knifed underneath Mueller under braking for turn 10, and that slowed Mueller up even a little bit more, and that really helped. And now Tandy's going to come out of 5. The Dyson car will be able to get by very cleanly, not affect Tandy's run down into turn 6. So after that moment when Mueller was all over the back of him while Tandy was trying to get those tires to clean up again, he had a little help from the prototype ranks. He's still bouncing some gravel around as he heads out, but here's where that Porsche excels. Launch out of turn 7.
Fantastic. Wow. Yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it? And meanwhile in GTC, let's say that Andy Lally has taken away that second place for Dempsey Racing in car number 27. He squeaked past Jan Halen in the JDX Hertz Porsche in car number 11. Just a couple of tenths of a second between the two of them as they crossed the line last time around. So Andy Lally has taken second place in GTC.
Lap 387 being worked out of 394 here at the Petit Le Mans, and down onto the front straight one more time. There's that GT battle. Again, a prototype car going to come through, gets by, splits those two once again. Now that car into the very twisty stuff. Aero helping deeply, able to get in deep on the brakes. And again, Tandy now in that same spot, turning in. That's the better line through there. Caught that curb just perfectly. Now he's able to drive his own line out of here. Now the prototype machine, the LMP Challenge car, will be able to pull out and drive through.
Man, that was,
can you imagine what was going on in that Falcon Tire pit box when they were watching Tandy now bouncing across the road out there?
Yeah, I think you'd have seen some wide eyes down there.
Oh, absolutely.
You saw some white. You'd have seen some wide eyes. The whites of Nick Tandy's eyes as well, as he was trying to arrest control back again off that car as he plunged through the grass there down in the S's. And boy, that was a scary moment for him. But you know, he's able to get away with it, and should have the tires cleaned off by now. He's got his rhythm back, and he's got his margin back as well. It's 1.2 seconds last time across the line. Dirk Mueller just a snitch quicker on that last lap, but it's still a second or so between these two as they come over the crest of the hill and underneath the Tequila Patron bridge one more time. This is 368 laps now in the books for the GT cars. Our race leader, Neil Jani, has completed 387, so he's just got 7 laps to go. It'll probably be maybe 6 more laps for the GT contenders.
And by the way, Matteo Maliucelli in the Risi Ferrari has gone around Maxime Martin. He's picked up 3rd spot. Yeah. He's 3 seconds behind Dirk Mueller.
Yeah, who did I say it was going to favor?
Yeah.
Matteo Maliucelli,
exactly.
He's coming. Last time around, he turns a 120.7. The GT leader, Nick Tandy, 121.4, so 3/4 of a second last time around. And Maliucelli was only 4.3 seconds behind. You do the maths. With 6 laps to go, closing at 6 or 7 tenths of a second a lap, that's enough. But he's got 2 other guys to get past. He has got past Maxime Martin, but can he get past Dirk Mueller and Nick Tandy as well. He's going to try.
And he's still got a Viper that is splitting Mueller and Maliucelli. Not on the lead lap, not in the picture, but not, is that a Viper or is that a Vet?
Corvette,
I think that's a Corvette, actually, now that I look at it a little bit closer. In GT Challenge, Andy Lally in second, 8.5 seconds back of Spencer Pumpelly. He's lapping anywhere, usually about a half second quicker than Pumpelly right now. That would not be enough.
No, it wouldn't, but he's certainly charging hard.
Oh,
Spencer, he's got a handy margin there. He knows how to manage that sort of a gap. So he'll be just trying to turn off consistent laps here as well now, as the clock is ticking away. 9.5 hours into this race we are now, and just 6 laps to go for our race leader, Neil Gianni.
And in LMP Challenge, this is interesting. Kyle Marcelli continues to lead, but with that caution, it brought Rahal up and close. He's 10 seconds back, and on the same lap, although Marcelli lapping a little bit quicker than Rahal that last lap.
Yeah, so the pressure's really on these guys. I mean, for Kyle Marcelli, he's trying to bring home a championship for Bar 1 Motorsports, and for his co-driver Chris Cumming. He's disappointed that he's not going to be part of that championship himself as a driver, and that's a result of not completing enough distance. Ironically, it's his home event at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which is kind of weird. But and that was a kind of a freaky sort of a thing due to the timing of the race. But it's still been a great season for Kyle Marcelli. He's been a star in this series now for the last couple of years, and we're seeing why this evening. It's been a masterful drive by not only him, but also his co-drivers in that number 8 car, Chris Cumming, and of course the veteran driver, Stefan Johansson. He might well be 57 years old, Stefan Johansson. Sorry, Stefan. I had to rub that in. But he's driving like a man half of his age. There goes Nick Tandy there across the line one more time, and more consistent laps for Nick Tandy, 120.9 last time around. Dirk Müller once again slightly quicker. Matteo Maliucelli 20.5, so he pulls in only 0.4 of a second on that lap, and he's still got that Corvette in between himself, the Ferrari, and the 2 leaders in GT. So I think it's slipping away perhaps from Matteo Maliucelli, but it has been a great performance by him.
Oh, it hasn't.
And if not for that mistake perhaps by Olivier Beretta, who knows what could have been for Ricci Competizione this afternoon and this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 laps ago, Tandy actually opened that margin up by about 0.4, and then again, as you said, Mueller now has closed it up just a little bit. Here's that key run up into turn number 7. Tandy, that gray, shark-nosed Falcon Tire Porsche, gets the launch out of that turn. Mueller behind him, then the Corvette, and then Matteo Maliucelli. And again, that Corvette is not in this battle. It's down a lap.
It is down a lap, and it seems that Dirk Müller he's tantalizingly close, isn't he? And he can get some good runs on various parts of the track, but the Porsche is very, very good where it needs to be good. It's getting off of turn 7 onto that long back straightaway, and it gets down the straightaway very, very well as well. So if Nick Tandy here can just keep his cool, keep his calm, and not make any mistakes here. He's made that one mistake, and he doesn't make very many at all, Nick Tandy. So I wouldn't expect him to make another one. And he's got certainly clear track ahead of him now, and clear track behind him for about a second or so. And he knows exactly who is behind him, and that is Dirk Müller in that number 56 BMW.
Indeed, and the one thing that might throw this into a little disarray is if some of the prototypes before we're done, as we now have 3 laps to go.
Pushing, babe.
If the prototypes come up from behind and start getting in the mix again, but right now Tandy is able to hang on. And with that, Jeremy, the next time by, down, start, finish, I'm going to have to head out. As I said, it's been a pleasure to be a part of this, announcing in some way, shape, or form of the American Le Mans Series for a lot of those 15 years. I'm not sure I've enjoyed a year more than working with you this year, my friend. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that's very, very kind of you. Thank you. Trust me, I've loved being here every second of it, and it's been I think a thrilling way to round out the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron, particularly this battle for the lead in GT. We've got a runaway leader here for Rebellion Racing, the Lola Toyota of Neil Gianni. Just north 2 laps now to go until the checkered flag, and here comes Nick Tandy one more time across the start-finish line. He's actually extended that lead a little bit now over Dirk Müller in that BMW. It's over 2 seconds now.
I don't want to leave.
You'll get down there. They've got plenty of time.
All right. Well, we'll see you in Victory Circle. Jeremy, take us home. Thanks very much. And thank you to our great crew. That's been amazing.
It certainly has. And there is Matteo Malicelli. He has got past the Corvette now, hasn't he? So he's got some clear track between himself and that second place at BMW. Nick Tandy's last time around, a 1:20.9. A 1:21.3 for Dirk Mueller, a 1:20.9 also for Matteo Malicelli. So the race leader in GT, Nick Tandy, and the Ferrari in third place, identical times. Dirk Mueller still sandwiched between the two of them. Going on to the straightaway one more time, and we're expecting the white flag. Well, it will be the white flag next time around for Neil Jarni, and he's where is he now? I'm not sure where he is on the racetrack, to be perfectly honest. We see these blinding lights again coming across the back straightaway down towards the turn 10 chicane one more time. Inch perfect through there for Nick Tandy. What a great driver it has been. The Englishman, he's just done a remarkable job for this team, and for him to be given the honours to finish this race, I think is a testament to his skills and the honour with which he's held in this team. Here now comes Neil Jarni. This is the white flag to greet Rebellion Racing, looking to win the second race in a row here on this historic racetrack at this historic event, Petit Le Mans, the 16th edition. Just bring it home, says Bart Hayden, the team owner at Rebellion Racing. And that's exactly what Neil Jarni intends to do. He's not going to push it here. 1:13.7 last time around. That's a pretty good lap, actually. Ryan Briscoe is in second place overall in the 551 P2 car. David Bradman, the 01, he's about 3 seconds behind him, so no real challenge there developing in P2. In the GT, well, we've seen how that battle is going on. Last time around, Dirk Mueller was just a snitch quicker than Nick Tandy, but shouldn't be too much to worry him. In PC, Kyle Marcelli holds a good margin over Sean Rahal. And in GTC, Spencer Pompelli still has about 7 seconds in hand over Andy Lally in second place, and Jan Halen hanging on the best he can in third. Less than half a mile to go now for our race leader. And where is our race leader overall? Here he comes. And the GT cars, I believe, have just gone across the start-finish line. Yeah, there goes Nick Tandy now across the line.
Neil.
And here comes our race leader. It is Neil Jarni who will bring home the number 12 car for Rebellion Racing. It's been a fine performance by that team, by Neil Jarni, by Nicola Prost, by Nick Heidfeld. The second successive win at this race for this team. It's been a marvellous performance by those guys, but this battle for GT, it rages on, and they've still got the better part of a lap to go coming up through the S's one more time. We're on board here with the number 56 car of Dirk Mueller. That is Nick Tandy right ahead of him, and just behind the BMW is Matteo Malicelli as well. So just a second or so between each of the cars, and there is some slower traffic in here. What is that? It's somebody who's just gone past. They're just going onto the front straight. I think that actually probably is one of the PC cars that's lost part of its rear bodywork. But Nick Tandy now, he's just got to negotiate these last few corners. He's going to come down in the chicane. The prototype car goes past him, as we see the fireworks already ablaze there down at the S's. And here comes, it was Mike Gouache there, who's going to finish 5th in the class. It's not going to be enough for the championship. But here come our GT leaders now over the crest of the hill, down sweeping through turn 12. It is Nick Tandy, a fantastic victory for the Falcon Tower Porsche team. Listen to the celebrations, and that means that that Antonio Garcia and Jan Magnussen are champions. Let's go down and hear from that team from Chris Neville.
And it's Rebellion Racing, Nico Prost, Nick Heidfeld, and Neil Jarni winning the final American Le Mans race, the 16th running of Petit Le Mans. Nico, you guys won last year, you won this year, always expecting great battles with Muscle Milk, but they've had problems both year, and you guys come away with victories.
Yeah, it's in some sense it's frustrating because we had a good race going. I mean, I think it would have been really tight, but in the end, you're happy to win, huh? And we're happy. It's a back-to-back win, last race of ALMS, so it's fantastic.
Congratulations with 2 in a row.
Yeah, 2 in a row. Thank you.
Tremendous performance there. Good to hear from Nico Prost, the son of the 4-time world champion Alain Prost. Here's a look at the unofficial results in GT. A magnificent victory for the local driver Brian Sellers, along with Wolf Hensler from Germany, Nick Tandy from the UK, and they come away with the win by, what, 0.741 of a second it was at the checkered flag, with Dirk Mueller in second place and the Ferrari there, right there in third place. Let's go down now to Jamie Howe.
Well, it's certainly a championship celebration down here. Jan Magnussen, this one came down to the bitter end for you and Antonio Garcia. What does this mean to be the GT champions?
Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have wished for a better year to do it. Last year of the ALMS. Who would have thought after Sebring that we'd be here celebrating a championship? And with Kevin winning this morning, just couldn't be better.
Certainly couldn't be better. Congratulations, Kelly.
It's a championship atmosphere here at Team Falcon Tire. Everything these guys have been through this season, racing on an old chassis today. Brian Sellers, can you believe you've won Petit Le Mans?
No, I can't believe it. It just goes to show you how great our guys were. Everyone at Falcon Tire, the drivers, Wolf and Nick. I mean, he was fantastic all day. Just can't say how excited and how happy we are to be here. And thanks to everybody for coming out. This is one we'll remember forever.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the 17 car wins the final ALMS Petit Le Mans.
Yeah, the 4th win in the ALMS for Brian Sellers, the 9th win for Wolf Hensler, and I think none more memorable than this one. Let's have a look at the results in P2. It will be the 551 car. Ryan Briscoe brings that car home. Again, a very narrow margin of victory, just 1.3 seconds ahead of David Brabham in the 01 car, driving along with Scott Sharp and Anthony Lazzaro. But for Ryan Briscoe and for Marino Franchitti, and particularly for Scott Tucker, 4 straight championships for that team. Also for Scott Tucker, who will tie up the P2 championship for the 3rd year in a row to add to the PC title he won before that. It's been a remarkable performance by Scott Tucker, and he's just amassed a remarkable record in this series over the last several years. Let's have a look at the results in PC, and once again, for the 3rd race in a row, Chris Cumming and Kyle Marcelli, joined this weekend by Stefan Johansson, bring the victory for Bar 1 Motorsports. And by my unofficial reckoning, that's going to bring them the championship by the narrowest possible of margins. It's been a tremendous race. Let's go down once more to Chris Neville.
Well, another class that was just back and forth. Who was going to lead this thing all day long? Chris Cumming. You guys were essentially out of this championship. Mike Wash could have sewn it up at VIR, but you guys kept in it, and you come away with victories tonight. Victory for the championship.
You know, I still can't even believe this. You know, until we got to the last, until the checkered flag. I mean, you know, we just never gave up. We knew we had to, you know, basically win the rest of the races in the season. We knew we had to come here and not only win, but have a little bit of luck from the other guys helping us out, and it happened. I mean, I just can't even believe it.
He shares this win with Kyle Marcelli and Stefan Johansson.
So it does. Thanks, Chris Neville. And it was a tremendous effort by all those 3 guys, basically. I mean, had to start from the back of the grid. They elected to change drivers at the start of the race. So it's the other big champion this weekend is Scott Tucker, and he is with Jamie.
Scott Tucker picks up his 5th ALMS championship, and you do it in winning fashion. What does it mean to have guys like Marino Franchitti and Ryan Briscoe by your side?
Oh, these guys are the best. They did a great performance today. I couldn't be more proud of the whole team. The ESM guys put on a hell of a fight for us, and we're really lucky that we got here, but these guys did a great job.
All right, congratulations.
Yeah, that team, they've had fought some battles this season. They had to come back because Scott Tucker was eliminated from one of the races in terms of the points a little while ago in the season. That put him well behind in the point standings. Yeah, that crash at Baltimore cost him hugely, but the team pulled together all the strategies to get Scott Tucker back to the head of the points table in P2, and then his co-drivers there, Marino Franchitti and Ryan Briscoe, have done the rest for him. It really was a tremendous team effort by Level 5 Motorsports, but boy, they've been pushed hard all the way through the year by Extreme Speed Motorsports. Let's have a look at the final class, the 5th class, the GT Challenge category. Another great race this weekend, and once again, a champions for Flying Lizard Motorsports, as Spencer Pompelli is with Jamie.
And a celebration down here, Spencer Pompelli, the hometown guy. You brought the car home on the top step of the podium after such a long season. What does it mean to win here at Petit Le Mans?
It feels great not only to win the last ever ALMS race, finally get a local win here at the Petit Le Mans, but to win with such a great team, such great co-drivers. I can't say enough about the job that Nelson and Madison did today. Those are the guys that won the race for us, and I couldn't be prouder to be a part of this.
Nelson, Madison, Spencer, congratulations. Chris Neville?
Jerome Blake-Moley and Cooper McNeil winning the GTC Championship. Cooper, what a great run for you guys. Had problems early in this race, but you stuck with it. You almost came away with the win, but you get the championship.
Yeah, it was close. It was a good fight there at the end. We had a couple issues with the battery, but Jerome drove his heart out and won us a championship, and that's 2 in a row, and that's all I could ask for.
Congratulations, guys.
Honours shared there in GTC. It's Alex Joe Racing that comes away there with the Drivers' Championship, shared by Jerome Blake-Moley and Cooper McNeil. A fine win season for them. They've had a couple of wins. They've had 3 second-place finishes as well. And today they have to make do with 4th place, but that's enough to clinch the championship. But it was the team championship that was clinched by Flying Lizard Motorsports as a result of that magnificent performance by Nelson Canetche Jr., Spencer Pompelli, and Madison Snow, the youngster, in car number 45 for that Flying Lizard team. Boy, that battle, those battles in GTC have just been tremendous all season long. We've had 4 different teams have won in that category, and coming to this weekend, Flying Lizard, they'd won 3 times. Alex Joe Racing had won twice. NGT had won twice, and the Racers Group had also won twice. So this weekend, it's another win for Flying Lizard. That's the win number 4 on them, so deservedly team champions in GTC. Boy, this has been a tremendous race, I think, all the way around. And there's barely been a dull moment all the way through it. All the championships have finally been decided. But boy, what a season it has been for the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. And what a great way to finish off this remarkable season. It's the end of an era here for American Le Mans Series, but a new era will be beginning in just a few weeks' time with the first test for the new Tudor United Sports Car Championship, and there's a lot of history still to be made, particularly here at Petit Le Mans. We're back here next year. The new season will start off at Daytona with the 24 hours. It's been a great day all around, and it's been my pleasure to be part of this series for the last several years and to bring these races to you. From my perspective, I've got to give my thanks to, particularly for John Heintoff, to Greg Creamer, to Jamie Howe, to Kelly Stavis and Chris Neville down in the pit lane this afternoon. My name is Jeremy Shaw. Thank you so much for joining us. For everybody here at the racetrack and everybody at home, we'll see you again, I hope, next season.